Some history between these two teams. Here's a chance for Keller, walks back, it's good! Wait, Keller!
Through the traffic, and that's deflected by Kaprizov.
Now Santa Cruz score! A great hockey matchup as the United States takes on Russia.
Montreal, Quebec, 4 teams left. 3 medals up for grabs over the next 2 days at the World Juniors. Semis first. Tyler Parsons perfect so far. He's 4-0. His team 5-0. No one has been able to handle 6'5", 230-pound Jordan Greenway in front. Alexander Polunin 8 inches shorter, dangerous in different ways. And they'll go back to Ilya Samsonov on the left in goal as they try to get to their 3rd straight gold medal game. As we say hello, Canada, and welcome to semifinal Wednesday here at the World Juniors, or as Bob and I call it, matching shiny blue suit day. It is 4 teams left battling for those 3 medals, and Canada and Sweden about 4 hours away. But first, those 2 other traditional powers. The Americans, as mentioned, are perfect, 5-0, including a 3-2 win over Russia in group play. But Russia's history at this tournament is to get better as the games get bigger. They're big now. One of them will play for gold. To get you set, Gord Miller and Ray Ferraro.
All right, thank you, James. There are 5 Boston University Terriers playing on this Team USA roster, Ray, and one of them, Jordan Greenway, has loomed large, literally, for the Americans.
Just a giant of a kid, 19 years old, 6'5", 230 pounds. In my opinion, he looks a lot like Todd Bertuzzi of the Vancouver Canucks back in the heyday. He's physical, he can skate, he can handle the puck, he's got really nice hands, and in front of the net, he is an absolute load for the opposition to handle. It's going to be really interesting today as the Russians don't have a very speedy defense, but in traditional Russian fashion, they have guys that defend and they're big. This is going to be a real challenge and really interesting matchup to see. Can the Russians get a handle on Jordan Greenway before he dominates the front of the net?
In the last 3 World Junior Championships, the gold medal hopes of Team USA have ended against the Russians, who are 7-0 all-time in the medal round against the U.S. James?
All right, thank you, boys. Greenway's a pick of the Minnesota Wild. So is Kirill Kaprizov, the only player in the tournament with more than 5 goals. He has 7. Safe to say the Americans need to shut him down?
No question. All the offense on the Russian team runs through Kaprizov, Polunin, Vorobiev. The top line for the Russians, if you can shut that line down, then you can win the hockey game. But he's a dynamic player. He's not nearly as big as Greenway, but he's very powerful. He's got a tremendous shot, and he's really dangerous on the power play. The Americans would do well to stay out of the box. The other challenge for the Americans today is to beat a team that they beat already in this tournament. It's to call it the rare relative double, if you will, over the last 4 tournaments before this year. 2013, Canada beat the USA in the round robin, lost to them in the playoffs. In 14, Sweden did the rare double. They beat the Russians in the round robin, beat them in the playoffs, but then they caught up with them. They beat Sweden in the beat Finland in the round robin, only to lose to them in the gold medal game. Sweden had it happen again with the Russians in 2015, and last year Russia beat Finland in the round robin, lost to them in the gold medal game. So it's very difficult in this tournament for a team to win 2 games against the same opponent, and we'll see if the Americans can do that in this game.
That would bode well for Canada if the Americans win this semifinal and Canada wins the one against Sweden after the Americans beat them in group play. 2 of the best goaltenders of the last 4, certainly save percentage-wise, Tyler Parsons and Ilya Samsonov, have been terrific during this tournament. Head-to-head next for a trip to the gold medal game. Interesting times for these 2 nations, rife with political tensions these days. But today is much simpler. Ice, sticks, most goals win. Winner plays for gold.
17 IIHF World Junior Hockey Championship from Montreal and Toronto is brought to you by Esso. The Esso brand has fueled Canada's love of hockey for over 30 years. By RBC. When we invest in youth, great things happen. Hashtag Make 150 Count by Nike, official gear of Canada's national hockey team. And by TELUS, powering the network that keeps us all hashtag all connected. The 2017 IIHF World Junior Hockey Championship from Montreal and Toronto is brought to you by Chevrolet. Find new roads.
On this Wednesday afternoon in Montreal, it's the first of two semifinals of the 2017 World Junior Hockey Championship as Team Russia takes on the United States. These two teams met last year in the semis. The Russians came back from a 1-0 deficit and won it 2-1 to advance to the gold medal game. Valery Bragin in his 6th time as the head coach of the Russian national junior team. The round-robin loss to the United States 3-2 was the first time his team had ever lost to Team USA. Bob Motzko was an assistant coach for the U.S. 2014 World Junior Championship in Malmo, Sweden. He's in his 12th season as the head coach at St. Cloud State University. Darcy Burchell, the Canadian, is one referee. The other is Marcus Linda from Sweden.
Gord, one thing to look at right off the start here, the United States has started Charlie McAvoy on the right D. I think we're going to see a boatload of him against this top Russian line, Vorobiev, Polunin, and their leading scorer, Kirill Kaprizov.
And the United States, Ray, does have the last change in this game as the higher seed.
Two Minnesota Wild prospects, nose to nose on the far side, Greenway and Kaprizov.
Now Sidorov fires it down to the American zone. Russia has not won a game yet when it allows the first goal. 3-0 when scoring. The first goal, 0-2 when not getting it. The United States has yet to trail in a game in this tournament. Charlie McAvoy hooks that back in front. And it's tapped back to Caleb Jones. Polunin tracks him down, now picked up by Kaprizov. Kirill Kaprizov lost it to Cunnin, and it's brought back by Greenway. Jordan Greenway across the line. Works it back in front, kicks on goal. As Bracco got a skate on that. And Ilya Samsonov, who started the game last year in the semifinals against Team USA, makes the save.
A dangerous chance as the Americans exit the zone and Greenway's got some time to carry the puck. This is where the big man becomes so dangerous. He's able to carry it at his size and create traffic. Bracco goes to the front of the net and Samsonov has to be really sharp to freeze the puck. Interesting again about McAvoy, and we'll look at this through the night, but he started with Caleb Jones. Against Canada, they broke those two up, trying to spread their defensemen outdoor. They're not worried about that now.
Now Keller on Roberto tries Samsonov the save. The rebound lifted high. Blake Keaton Keller's got 8 points in 5 games for Team USA. And swinging back is Keller. 7th overall to Arizona in the last NHL draft. Keller winds his way in. One of those Boston University Terriers as they go back in the corner. In all, BU has 7 players in this tournament. Jake Ottinger, the 3rd goalie for the U.S., is also at BU, and Dante Fabro, the Canadian defenseman, is there. They play tomorrow night, Ray. They've only got 15 players.
Well, Coach David Quinn will have to juggle some people around. This, I think, is going to be a factor in the game. The Russian defense is not mobile. The Americans are small and very quick. Look how Keller gets a step on Sergachev behind the net. Sergachev can't close the lane down, and that forces Samsonov into another difficult stop.
Gilbert Bellows chips that back. Roslovic couldn't quite reach it. Now whipped around and fed ahead to Trennan. Yakov Trennan tried to come in. He's stripped to the puck, and it's moved ahead quickly. Tage Thompson in for it, drops it back, and the Russians quickly counterattack. Trennan works in with Yurikov. Yurikov in, Wade shoots, and the save made by Tyler Parson. At the point, fired wide there by Zborowski, and McAvoy has it right back. Now out there with Adam Fox. McAvoy averaging about 25 minutes a game for Team USA. Grigori Dronov takes the return pass, being watched there, and flushed by Troy Terry of Team USA. And now Dronov retreats all the way back behind his own goal and flips it around for Borowski. He turns it over. Now Harper back with it. Patrick Harper peels back in the corner. Harper sends it towards the goal. It goes off a leg and wide. Coney plays it back in deep. And now Guryanov with it, bangs it off the inboards, and the Russians hemmed in. Here's Alexiev, picks it up, and finally moves it out. Russians are changing. Alexiev shovels that down to the line, but McAvoy picks it up and quickly headbands the puck for Foley. Up for Terry. Terry walks in and shoots. It's off a stick and wide.
The U.S. is screaming at their players, short shifts, short shifts. They want them to keep the pace high keep their shifts 35 to 40 seconds.
Top line out there for the Russians. Vorobiev couldn't center it. Now a race for it. Terry couldn't get there, and Sidorov swings back to pick it up. Sidorov took a puck in the face in their Russians' quarterfinal win over Switzerland. Now wearing a full cage out there. Brought in now by Luke Cunnin. Drops it off to Bracco. Bracco wheels in now. Center that Cunnin gets the shot on goal. Samsonov was saved. The puck's still loose, and Greenway couldn't get there. Furious pressure by the U.S. in the early going. The shots are 3-1 in favor of Team USA. Casey Fitzgerald fires it down for the Americans. Bracco goes looking for it. Here's Cal Sergachev with it. The Montreal Canadiens' 9th overall pick in last summer's draft. Center now for Greenway. Shoots, and Samsonov swats that away with a glove.
It's been quite a start for the U.S. Gord. Their quickness on display here.
Kanahua with a backhand shot that Parsons handles easily. Connor Parsons won the Memorial Cup with the London Knights last season. Led the OHL in goals against average and save percentage last year. Casey Fitzgerald, the son of longtime NHLer Tom Fitzgerald. Up for Cunnin, the American captain, chips out ahead. Joey Anderson trying to knock it down. Sergachev plays it back. Cal Sergachev played for Montreal in this building this year before being sent back to the Windsor Spitfire. Now Kavarlanov walks in. His shot was blocked by Fox. Anderson has it back. And the lead pass knocked astray. As Borowski plays it up ahead. Trennan couldn't knock that down at the line. Voronkov couldn't hold it. Now it's poked ahead. And Yurikov goes to Trennan. Borowski across to Voronkov. 4.5 gone here in a scoreless first period. The U.S. trying to do something it's never done against the Russians. Win a medal round game. Now Fox on it. Forced free by Roslovic for a moment. And Keller digs for it again. Battle for it in the corner. Now Trennan has it. Moves it to the blue line and out. It's back. Fox rather sweeps back for Team USA. Being watched there by Valyeyev. And Valyeyev in on Fox, who has to peel back. Guryanov comes up and wins that battle for the puck. Guryanov in from a sharp angle. Shoots it off the side of the goal. Gets it right back. Guryanov, the Dallas first-round pick, plays it back. And that shot by Dronov tipped wide. Now pressure from the Russians. Hammered wide again by Kudako. And Guryanov couldn't knock it down. Roslovic goes to Dronov. He turned it over to Bellows. Keeper Bellows in, shoots. Samsonov makes the save on him. Now Bellows back with it. Tried the wraparound. That misfires. Yurtaikin has it back for the Russians. By the way, the Russians are down another player, as German Rubtsov is not dressed for this game today. Rubtsov was injured, got a stick under the visor in the game against Switzerland. So the Russians, who bring 12 forwards and 8 D, are down a D and a forward for this game today. And down a forward is a problem, Ray, when they have to cycle through 11.
Yeah, I understand why they like the forward defense pairs, but I always find it such a roll of the dice to come to a tournament with just 12 forwards.
Now Greenway taken down. Play continues as the puck is lifted up by Kudako. Polunin goes rink wide, and Ciccone being careful with that, plays it across to Ashan. Back Ashan up for Greenway. He got tied up. Polunin has it back. Alexander Polunin popped it back, and here's Rykov with it. Rykov leads the Russians in minutes played. He's been terrific for them as Guryanov comes busting in. Guryanov, a backhand shot, and the save is made by Parsons as some pushing and shoving breaks out in the American crease. Back and forth they go. No score here in the first period. It's the semifinals of the 2017 World Junior Hockey Championship.
Samsonov is the starter for the Russians. They have the best save percentage in the tournament. He gets a toe on this Luke Cunnin chance. Here's the U.S. cycle. This is where I think they can do some damage. Greenway turned aside by Samsonov, the Washington Capitals first-round pick in 2015.
Colin White, the Ottawa first-rounder, wins that face-off away from Kavarlanov. White scored in all 4 opening round games for the U.S. And now Caleb Jones back for it. His brother Seth won a gold medal with Team USA in the 2013 World Junior Championship in Russia. Jones to White. Colin White works in, shoots, wristed that wide. And now White got his own rebound, wrists it around, and finds Keller. Keller centers it, Samsonov dives out. And Ilya Samsonov pounces on that loose puck, and Samsonov moving into rare air here at the World Junior Championship, Ray, with back-to-back shutouts against Slovakia and Switzerland. He's now gone 155 minutes without allowing a goal. The record for the longest shutout streak in World Junior history, Alexei Volkov, over 200 minutes in 98 and 99.
Like their team, I thought Samsonov started slowly and has gotten better and better as the tournament's gone around. He gave up 5 goals to Canada. I didn't think looked particularly sharp in that first game, but he's locked his game in a little bit. He's got a lot of movement side to side, very athletic guy. I think he can open him up going side to side, but a really top-end prospect rather, for the Capitals.
Samsonov last year played in the semifinal against the U.S. Ray, and played really well. He allowed 1 goal on 27 shots. The Americans poured it on in the third period. He turned away all 13 shots he faced, but then didn't play the next day in the gold medal game.
You know, we've long given up on that one, haven't we? Trying to figure out Valeri Bragin behind the bench. He's always got a surprise of some sort. 6th time coaching this Russian entry into the World Junior.
Now Belyayev plays it in. Ciccone watching him. And Belyayev thrown down. Got to think that special teams will play a major role in this game this afternoon. The Russians have been dynamite in the power play. 7 for 20. The Americans 7 for 23. Hooked across for Foley. Sends it back in front of the backhand shot. Lifted wide by Terry. What a chance there for Troy Terry. Now Ciccone back in the corner. Voronkov got tied up there by Terry and tries to kick it free. Terry earning rave reviews from this Team USA coaching staff. And now Lindgren falls as Yurikov brings it in. Yurikov winds in. Can't get a shot away as Harper got a stick on him. Now from a sharp angle he fires and Parsons makes the stop. Puck still loose. Trennan trying to pick it out. Now the much smaller Harper tries to ring that around. Ryan Lindgren, his brother Charlie, made his NHL debut for Montreal last season as a goaltender. Taps it back for McAvoy. Charlie McAvoy, Boston first-round pick. Might be a Bruin next year, don't you think, Ray?
I do believe so. They've got room. They want to turn their defense over. They have another U.S. graduate, Brandon Carlo, on their blue line this year, who played in the World Junior.
Now Gurianov busting in, and Tage Thompson reached back to take that away. And now Dronov has to retreat with Roslovic bearing in on him. Shots are 7-4 USA, no score here in the first period. Vorobiev, long cross ice pass. Jones ranges back, and Caleb Jones plays it around for Fitzgerald. Casey Fitzgerald almost put that puck on the tape of Polunin. Now bounces ahead to Roslovic. Roslovic drops it back. Fellows for Thompson in, shoots. And Sidorov got a stick on that to knock it wide. Now Polunin tries to chip it ahead. Vorobiev has it. Kaprizov was waiting at center ice. The defenseman Sidorov stepped in front of him for the pass. And now Greenway swings back. Jordan Greenway. Up bad for Bracco, chips it in. Samsonov about to play it. Brings it high on the glass. Polunin knocks it down. The Russians evidently don't have the same limitation on face-off or shift length, Ray. No. This line's been out there quite a while.
No, Polunin will stand out there in the same spot for about 30 seconds as he just waits for the puck to come to him, and when he gets it, he can be really dangerous.
Sergachev back for it. Centers there for Kvartalnov. Kvartalnov plays that up, and it bounces in between the benches, and play is called with 10:20 remaining here in the first.
Nice save by Joe Wall, the backup goaltender here. Nice puck movement by the United States as Troy Terry bolts through to take Eric Foley's pass. Gord, you were just saying before the play turned that rave reviews for Troy Terry in this tournament. A real slippery, skilled, smart player. I've really liked the way that he plays the game. An Anaheim Ducks draft choice, a 5th round in 2015, and to me, he looks like a guy that's going to need some time in college to put a little weight on, to get a little stronger, but a very heady player.
Battle for in the corner. White digs it out. Colin White drops it back to McAvoy. Now McAvoy winds his way and has a lane, loops it back in front. He got knocked down, and then again, as Trennan moved the puck out for the Russians, Joey Anderson has it back. Fired in, delayed offside indicated. As Borowski tried to clear it out, knocked down by Keller. Clayton Keller works his way in. Keller winds through the Russian defense, spins and shoots. That was batted away. It drops down to White. He shoots, it's blocked. Back at the point, Sean with a drive. That goes wide as well. Great pressure now by Team USA. Past the midway point of the opening period. McAvoy has it. Charlie McAvoy trying to play it back down. A battle for it there. Finally knocked out. by Voronkov for Trennan. And McAvoy came back on Trennan, but Trennan wins the battle for the puck. Centers it. Yurtaikin drops it off. Alexiev flips it wide. Now Alexiev back on it. Alexiev tied up in the corner. McAvoy around to Keller. And Keller swings it back out to center. Alexiev. High in the air, knocked down by Lindgren. Yurtaikin's all over him as Ashan picks it up. This is Guryanov playing with Yurtaikin and Alexiev, the alleged fourth line for the Russians, which only has 2 forwards on it because of the injury to Rubtsov. Yurtaikin winds it across the line with Guryanov. That's knocked away and played out by Ciccone. Now a lane for Terry. In comes Troy Terry. Busts again, shoots him his short side. And quickly on it for the Russians is Guryanov. He's got Yurtaikin with him. Couldn't get a stick free. Ciccone has the loose puck and banks it back to Foley. What a pace here in the first period, Ray.
And the Americans have just opened the door a little bit, and now the Russians seem to have gotten their legs back underneath them here. Now they're on the attack. Top line on the ice now for Russia. Kaprizov peels back in the corner. 7 goals in the tournament for Kaprizov. 5 of them scored in the power play. Vorobiev plays it down. Kaprizov, the wraparound drive, scores! Kirill Kaprizov opens the scoring. And the big line does it again for Russia. Kirill Kaprizov's 8th goal of the tournament. He has been a dynamic player. The U.S. turns the puck over, Gord. They've got it in full possession just outside the blue line. Polunin comes off the bench and creates the turnover. Now the U.S. has got it again. Caleb Jones can't handle it. He ends up turning the puck over, and now the Russians get to work. This is where Kaprizov has been so good. Turning direction, really using his quickness to get to the puck. And then he takes a nice little reverse pass from Mikhail Vorobiev, the Philadelphia Flyers draft pick. Vorobiev has 9 assists in the tournament. Kaprizov's got 8 goals, and the Americans are trailing by 1. The Russians have scored 21 goals now in this tournament, Ray. This line of Polunin, Vorobiev, and Kaprizov has 11 of them. It didn't take Kaprizov long, did it? From behind the net, jump out in front. Tyler Parsons is looking at the reverse. He's looking on his right shoulder. Now he's got to react. He doesn't get back across. And Russia's up 1-0. So the United States trails for the first time in the tournament. Roslovic works in. A backhand shot stuffed there by Samsonov. Wow, did he go by Sergachev there. Guryanov. Up ahead for Karnahov. He can't get to it. Caleb Jones through the middle. That's picked up. And a shot fired wide by Kravatalov goes off the stick of Roslovic. And some opening period jitters here for Team USA. Thompson for Bellows. Kiefer Bellows gets bumped there by Trennan. Tage Thompson moves it behind the goal. As Colin White comes in for the rolling puck. Centers it, it drops down. Samsonov sweeps that away. And now Kravatalov back on it. Chips it ahead for Trennan. Up the center right to Yurikov. And Adam Fox is back for it for Bellows. U.S. is changing. That pass is picked up and brought ahead by Belyayev. He got slammed there in front of the U.S. bench. White bumped by Belyayev. Now Voronkov sends Anderson flying. Trennan swings back for it. Bob McKenzie pointing out earlier, Ray, very hard to beat the same team twice in a tournament like this. And of course the U.S. beat the Russians 3-2 in the round robin. Yurtaikin winds it ahead of steam, fires, and Parsons got just a piece of that on the way by. Fox back with it. Alexiev all over him. Wow, the U.S. defense was way back. That gave Yurtaikin about 50 feet to wind up to take that shot. Now White ahead for Anderson. That's picked up and brought back by Yurtaikin. Guryanov for Yurtaikin, winds in again. Yurtaikin, poke check there by Jones, peels back in the corner, knocked down by Jones. Stepping up at the line is Sergachev to keep it alive, but Cunnin took it away from him. Now Cunnin battling there with Sergachev. Cunnin drops it back for Bracco. Bracco works in, shoots, Samsonov got a piece of that and knocked it wide. He's been sharp. First 14 minutes, he stopped 9 U.S. shots. And now Sidorov, the defenseman, jumps in. The top line's back out for the Russians. As much as it produces, they don't get much more ice time than the other lines on this Russian team.
as Bragan really does roll 4 lines.
The guy that's going to get more ice time today, it looks like, is Guryanov, Gord. As you mentioned a couple of times, he's double shifting with that 4th group.
Now Bracco centers it, knocked down by Polunin. And Polunin goes rink wide. Rykov with it. And Ciccone spins back with it for Team USA. Long lead pass for Foley. That was knocked away by Polunin. Rykov to Polunin. Bouncing puck, knocked in by Kvartalov. Held at the line for the moment by Roslovic. Roslovic winds in, shoots. That's stopped by Samsonov as well as Kaprizov tries to play it around. Now chipped by Polunin down the ice. That'll be an icing call against the Russians with 5:03 remaining here in the first.
Closed captioning is brought to you by the Home Depot. Only Rigid gives you free batteries, parts, and service for life. And you can only get it at the Home Depot.
The United States has had Charlie McAvoy on the ice 3 of the first 4 shifts against Kirill Kaprizov's line. He's not out there for the 5th shift. And it's in the net.
There's a long shot by Ciccone, knocked away by Samsonov. Under 5 to go here in the opening period. Russia with a 1-0 lead. Kaprizov. Nifty pass ahead, finds Kvartalov. His shot off the skate of Ciccone and wide. Now Karnahuov with it. Tied up by Ciccone. 10 of these Russian players are drafted, 4 in the first round. And as usual with Bragan, most of them are 19. Keller works his way in. Sitters, there's a chance for McAvoy. Drifts wide. White couldn't reach the rebound. Tied up there by Sergachev. Now the lead pass for Guryanov took a bad bouncer. He was in. Lindgren up ahead for Keller. The American top line is out now as Lindgren works his way in. Shoots. It's off a skate wide. And Yurikov has it back for the Russians. They need a change as Yurikov brings it ahead. Trennan jumps off the bench to join him. Yurikov peels back in the corner. Centers it. Trennan couldn't quite reach it. That was swatted away at the last second by Lindgren. Trennan back on it. Loose puck for Trennan. Centering pass goes off a skate. Now Voronkov in, shoots. Pad saved by Parsons. The rebound just skipped away from Trennan. Lindgren drops it back to Fox. And now Bellows waits for it. There's Belyayev, was in on him. Action ahead for Roslovic. Back Roslovic, who plays for the Manitoba Moose in the American League. A first-round pick of the Winnipeg Jets. Peels back in the corner. Centers it. Fitzgerald tries to knock it down. Now Trennan has it back. And you're taking with him, but it's picked up by Fitzgerald. And Tage Thompson sweeps it down to the Russian zone. Russians beat Denmark 4-0 in their quarterfinal. The U.S. had its hands full with Switzerland. A 2-2 tie in the 3rd period. Greenway scored a power play goal late in the 3rd to put it away. Guryanov rings it around. Held at the line by Dronov, who fires it wide. Now you're taking on it. You're taking. Bumped in the corner there by a shot. Played back in by Sergachev. Fitzgerald. Lost the puck to Alexiev, who plays it back. 2:45 to go here in the first. Sean drops it back to Fitzgerald. And Fitzgerald being watched by Alexiev. Banks it ahead and finds Cutted. In comes Cutted. Just missed there by Dronov, but he lost the puck. Moved ahead quickly by Sergachev. And Vorobiev trying to move it from Caleb Jones. Now Polunin knocks it ahead. And Greenway did a good job to take that away. It was a 2-on-1 for Polunin and Vorobiev.
This has been an incredible first period. No penalties. Just speed and skill and pace. Been outstanding.
Sidorov back to Rykov. His shot blocked by Bracco. And Jones has it back off the glass. It goes and out. Greenway muscles Polunin in front of the American bench. Polunin kicks it ahead. McAvoy to be careful not to play that puck too soon as the U.S. was changing. Now Jones takes the lead pass in with Keller. Centering pass for Keller, just missed him. And Anderson gathers up the loose puck in the corner. Joey Anderson back down to Keller. He gets free. His centering pass goes off the side of the goal. Anderson back for Keller. Loose along the wall. Played back in by White. He finds Keller. Caleb Jones comes drifting in to help out. Minute and a half to go in the first period. Keller back with it. Clayton Keller plays it across. Jones shoots. Hit a skate in front. And now at the line, Keller can't hold it as the puck skips over his stick. Keller winds back in for Team USA. Drops it off to Colin White. Tied up by Vorobiev. A long shot punched away there by Samsonov. Anderson back with it. Drops it down to White. All in white on his backhand, peels back, drops it off to Jones. Lots of traffic as Caleb Jones comes in on Trennan. They tangle in the corner. Final minute now, Killer shoots off the side of the goal, and they score. It banks in from the corner, and the U.S. has tied the game in the final minute of the first period.
After the Russians had spent pretty much the previous 5 minutes in control of the game, the Americans finally get the puck back down in the zone. They're going to cycle this puck all the way around, and Colin White's going to hold it all the way to the top. Eventually it comes to the corner where Keller's just going to shoot this from the goal line. Wow, that's a brutal goal for Samsonov to give up after a terrific period. It hits him in the side and deflects into the net. Clayton Keller's 4th goal of the tournament has tied the score.
Scored against the Russians in the round robin meeting as well. The all-time leading point getter for the U.S. National Team Development Program. Keller, a freshman at Boston University. Been injured so far this year. Ray missed a lot of time in the early going, but still putting up big points for BU.
15 points in 10 games for him. He's just a dynamic Johnny Gaudreau-like talent.
And then Trennan steamrolls Foley from behind. So Samsonov's shutout streak is over at 167 minutes, and it ends with a thud, right? Under 30 seconds to go here. In a now 1-1 game as Samsonov rings it around, finds Yurikov. He turns it over to Foley just outside the blue line, and Foley flips it back in. So a left for Team USA in the final minute here of the period. And brought in by Kaprizov, who had the Russian goal. That's knocked away. And these two teams are tied at 1 after a breathtaking opening 20 minutes. Keller for the U.S., Kaprizov for the Russians. It's the semifinal of the 2017 World Junior Hockey Championship. Our first intermission coming up next here on TSN Live from Montreal.
Period of play in the first semifinal here at the World Juniors. James Duthie and Bob McKenzie back with you. And I don't know, since the O.V. Malkin days, have we seen one Russian responsible for such a high percentage of their goals. He's been dynamic. There's usually 2, 3, 4 guys, but Kaprizov has been just terrific so far into the points lead now. He's tied with Nylander, but those 8 goals are 3 more than anybody else in the tournament. You see Clayton Keller moving into a tie for 3rd with that goal. The way that was one of the quicker wraparounds I've seen in a while. It took him about 0.2 seconds to get around that net.
It really was, but the Americans have done a good job of getting the matchups they wanted. Charlie McAvoy on the blue line, making sure Luke Cunning's line was out there every time Kaprizov's line was out there. But then they got out against the Kaprizov line, got out against the 4th line for the Americans. And it's Patrick Harper, number 11, gets the puck there, giveaway up the middle, and then after that, it's a comedy of errors on the defensive side of the puck for the Americans. Caleb Jones, number 4, has a real tough time with it, turns the puck over there, gets turned around, and then as soon as this puck goes below the goal line, the Americans completely get lost in their coverage, and suddenly there's 3 guys below the goal line, and there it is, 3 guys below the goal line, and Kaprizov is just too explosive, too quick. The Minnesota Wild player prospect is terrific and has the 8 goals to show for it and got the Russians out of an early period funk there.
Samsonov had been so good, 2.5 games of a shutout streak, 157 minutes and 24 seconds in total, and then he gives up that. What happened?
Yeah, Clayton Keller and Colin White have been the most noticeable Americans along with Greenway in this tournament, and in that first period, Keller was moving the puck really well. This is a really tough one for Samsonov to give up. The Washington Capital first-round pick. That's just a bad goal. There's no 2 ways about it. I mean, basically from the goal line, I wondered at first, maybe did it hit White's pan a little bit and redirect, but even if it did touch White, and I don't think it did, Samsonov still wasn't squared up to the post and basically put it in his own net, so he'll battle back hard from that because that's his nature.
Kind of a strange period because the Americans dominated early, and then Russia scored, and then the Russians started to come on, and the Americans scored almost their first time down back in the other end. So we're even at once. Kaprizov continues to lead the World Juniors in goals, number 8 already. We have ones after 1.
Oh, wow. Welcome.
I like that Chevy.
The Big Play is a partnership between Canadian Tire Jumpstart Charities and the Hockey Canada Foundation that gives kids that can't afford organized hockey the chance to play. Help us spread the word and retweet big plays from the World Juniors for your chance to win an autographed Team Canada jersey. Our latest winner at Big TV Doug. Here's Luke Cunnin with our Tessa Bonham.
Luke, that was the first time your team has trailed in this tournament. What was the response on the bench after the Russians' first goal?
Yeah, we just, we knew they were going to get one sooner or later, so we just had to stick to our game plan, get pucks in net, and, Kells threw one, and it went in for us. So we just got to keep getting pucks behind them, and, they'll start going in for us.
Close game in the prelims. Have the Russians adjusted their game at all?
I don't think so. I think they're doing, the things that makes them successful, and, we just got to, stick to our game plan and just do the things we need to do.
What are some of the adjustments that will be made?
I think just, keep getting pucks behind their D, make them turn, go back and get it, and, just be aware when their top guys are on the ice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Not a popular guy in Canada still. It was his hit that knocked out Philip Myers from the game and likely the tournament. He's not expected to return. Connor Ingram will start tonight against Sweden. Third straight start. Not really a big surprise, but the fact that it was still a decision to make is probably a concern for Canada.
Well, it could be. I mean, there have been a lot of games where Carter Hart and Connor Ingram are in relatively low event games, 15 shots on goal, 17 shots on goal, where they've given up 3 goals. And in some of those 3 goals, they're not the best of goals. So that's raised a little bit of an issue. We know against Sweden that Ingram's going to need to be better than he was against the Czechs. And that's not the first goal. No chance whatsoever on that one. Bad bounce off the referee. This is the one that he would obviously like to have had back. No chance on the third goal, but then he shut the door when it mattered and did that in the latter portion of the game against the Americans as well. You would have to believe that this Swedish team is going to present a whole new challenge for Team Canada, and especially the goaltender Connor Ingram, that there's going to be a lot, the quantity of shots is going to be a lot higher, and that the quality of shots is likely to be a lot higher. This is a very good offensive Swedish team, although I mean, there's 4 teams left in the tournament, and all 3 of them are from Canada's side. The Swedes have not yet played the Americans, the Russians, or the Canadians, so we'll see how they fare once they're tested.
Yeah, and some goalies don't like those 15, 14-shot games. That shouldn't be a complaint for Connor Ingram tonight. He's likely to be busy. Canada has won 6 straight. In fact, Sweden has never beaten them in the playoff round at this tournament, but that will be tested tonight. American dressing room tied at 1. Second next.
Here's your first period summary. The U.S. outshoots Russia 14-7. The Russians take the lead in the wraparound goal by Kirill Kaprizov, his 8th of the tournament. Clayton Keller right now has been credited with his 4th. Final minute of the period. Banks it in off Samsonov to tie the game at 1. Gord Miller back here with Ray Ferraro. What a first period. There were 9 stoppages. It took just 26 minutes to play. It was end-to-end, but we saw the American skill in full evidence.
They were able to get out on the rush and to skate. They were able to get into the zone and cycle the puck and use their speed. It looked a little bit like, for me, Gord, a boxer just going with jab, 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 jab. Eventually down the lane, it pays off in big dividends for the United States. I think they're going to be able to open up this Russian defense as the game goes along. But what we did see was one fabulous period of hockey. A nice goal by Kaprizov on the cycle, and a lucky late bounce here as Keller shovels this to the net, and probably after 20 minutes this game should be tied.
So the teams begin the second period 5-on-5. There's not been a power play awarded yet in this game. The referees are Darcy Burchell from Canada, Marcus Linda from Sweden. There was nothing really that we saw that went undetected. Just a great period of hockey. And Rykov takes the return pass. Throws that ahead. Misses Polunin with it, and the play is called icing against the Russians. And again, the United States has the last change in this game as the higher seed.
Gord, they've changed the U.S. goal to Colin White, his 5th of the tournament. When Keller shovels this to the net, the change is that this puck hit White there on the left leg, bounced off Samsonov in the net, so it's into the net. So it's White from Keller and Jones.
And White's 5th goal of the tournament. Polunin trying to play that around. Vorobiev digging for it. Vorobiev's got assists on 7 of the 8 Kaprizov goals in this World Junior. Now Cunnin brings it ahead. Cunnin with Greenway shoots, it goes off a leg. And Kvarlanov swings back for it.
Gord, we were talking about McAvoy against the top U.S. line. He's out there now. The Russians want Kvartalov against Colin White or Cunnin. He jumps on the board, over the boards when either one of those lines is on. He played 19.5 minutes in the semifinal. He's a trusted forward for Valeri Bragin.
And that's new for Bragg in the last couple of years, matching lines or looking for the matchup even. Guryanov drops it back to Varlamov, shoots, and that goes off a leg and wide. Now Sergachev comes in to sweep it back in the corner. Karnahuov runs off a check. Ashan steps into him. Karnahuov centers it and just missed Varlamov. And now walking in, Canuck with a shot, rebound, score! And the Russians retake the lead as Guryanov pokes it home to make it 2-1.
Here are those big forwards. Karnahuov and Bartonelov get behind the net and they get into the cycle. And this is an outstanding piece of work to keep the play alive by Karnahuov. He outmuscles Jack Ashan. Ashan is the smallest U.S. defender at 5'7". He outmuscles him behind the net. And then as they get to the front, Guryanov gets in front of Casey Fitzgerald. That rebound comes off of Parsons' pads. A quick start for the Russians, and they've retaken the lead.
Guryanov, the first-round pick of the Dallas Stars in 2015, is playing his first year in North America. Ray for Texas in the American League. Slow start for him, but he's come on of late. 4 goals in 25 games for the Texas Stars.
Yeah, strong, protects the puck pretty well. I would say kind of a prototypical Russian forward, a bit of a power game more than a small skilled game, and gets to the front of the net, and the U.S. gets turned around behind the net, and now they've got to chase again.
So the U.S., which had not trailed in a game entering this one, is down for the second time. Voronkov.
Gord, how many of these tournaments have you done?
22.
How many times have you seen this Russian movie?
29. Roslovic works in, centers it, and that pass just missed Kiefer Bellows. They won the gold medal in 2011 with 2 losses. The team you see in the preliminary round is not the one you'll see in the medal round. It's as simple as that. Although last year in the quarterfinals, remember the game against Denmark, down 2-1, less than a minute to go, they tied it and then won the thing in overtime.
Now that was an escape. Kamenev, their centerman, scored in late in the last minute and then scored the winner in overtime as well.
That would have been the biggest upset in the history of this tournament. Here's Tyken. Plays it, Guryanov back out there. Spins and shoots, and then goes off Ashan. Up and out of play. Jack Ashan, you mentioned, the smallest American defenseman, plays for Bob Motzko at St. Cloud State.
So when they get behind the net, Karnahuov is able to outmuscle Ashan to the puck. And watch, Guryanov comes from back behind the net. He's the second Russian forward. So they've got an eye on Karnahuov, but they don't see Guryanov come back behind. Casey Fitzgerald get locked on the puck, and when Parsons makes the stop, it's Guryanov who turns to it quickly to give the Russians the lead.
Guryanov's second of the tournament, Ray, for the Russians to get scoring from a line other than the Vorobiev line with Polunin and Kaprizov is huge. Tony works in and wraps it around. Polunin waiting for it. A returnee from last year's team. Russians have 5 of them back from their silver medal team. Russia has won medals in 6 straight World Junior Championships. No other country has won medals back-to-back in the last 2 years.
Gord, you pointed out earlier their predominance of 19-year-old rosters year after year.
Lead pass now for Cunnin, knocked away by Rykov. You only got, of the 22 players on the roster today, 18 of them are 19 years of age. Chipped ahead by Kvarlanov as Fitzgerald goes back for it. And Ciccone swings it across. The Russians banks it ahead.
The Russian bench, it's like the doors are bolted shut.
Kvarlanov swings it back in front. Guryanov couldn't get a stick on that.
With all 4 coaches standing up on the bench, there isn't enough room, so nobody opens the door. They just jump in and out.
We haven't seen Bragin stand on the board to talk to his team yet, but he's whipped that move out a few times at the World Junior over the years. Keller works it back in, but that pass ahead goes over the glass and out of play. Cue the music. Your favorite Hickson hockey players are back. Letterkenny, Canada's hottest comedy series, is now streaming on Crave TV with brand new episodes. Start your 1-month trial at cravetv.ca. It is packed down there, Ray. I mean,
they have got, I mean, now Broggin's taking a break and he's down on 1 foot. This assistant coach here on this side, it seems when Broggin gets on the bench, he gets on the bench. When Broggin sits down, he sits back. But it is like a bus stop here at rush hour.
Now loose is Terry, who centers it, and that bouncing puck missed for Foley as Yurikov tries to play it ahead. Now it's picked up by Belyayev. Belyayev with Yurikov and Trennan. Back goes Fitzgerald for it. Trennan comes looming in, and Trennan lost his handle. Voronkov couldn't knock it away, and Foley has it back. Now Borovsky, and now Yurtaikin, the forward, has to swing back as Roslovic is watching him. Yurtaikin lost the puck to Roslovic. For Foley, in shoots. That was blocked by Voronkov. And now Yurtaikin has it back as the Russians are changing. Yurtaikin works in. Fox got a stick on him. Adam Fox from Harvard skates away with it, but lost the puck for a moment. Now knocked down by Alexiev. And now Yurtaikin takes down Fox, and the first power play of the game will go to Team USA.
Let's go, cross check.
And the cross check is called. And the United States, with just about 5 gone here in the second, will go on the power play.
And there's the cross-check behind the net. Daniil Yurtaikin takes the cross-checking penalty. The Americans have 7 power play goals in the tournament. Bracco, Greenway, and White have 2 each. Troy Terry has 1 as well. The Russian penalty killing was a debacle at the start of the tournament.
Right.
But they've locked it down. They gave up 5 power play goals in the tournament, 3 of them in that first game to Canada.
On 6 attempts, so they've allowed 2 on 15 since then. Cunnin, Greenway, and Keller up front. The clearing attempt went off the net. Now Rykov plays it ahead. And it's picked up by Rykov and fired down the ice.
You see the U.S. use Tage Thompson on this group on the top of the left circle, but they've changed up a little bit here, and they have both Cunnin and White as their right-handed shooters.
Greenway, Bracco, and White share the team lead with 2 power play goals each. White tries to chip that. Now White plays it down to Greenway. Greenway will play right down on the goal line. Keller finds him. Keller swings it back. McAvoy shot. Fana rolls right back. White a backhand shot. Samsonov's down. Backing towards the goal. Gets the glove down and hangs onto it. Charlie McAvoy's knuckleball almost handcuffed the Russian netminder.
Well, everybody's ready for this bomb that McAvoy has. He can really shoot the puck. Greenway's going to get to the front of the net, and then the thing never gets there. White has a chance at it, and then Greenway is battling away with Sidorov. He's batting away with Trennan in front of the net, and finally Samsonov is able to jump on the puck and get his mitt on it.
And Keller, White, and Greenway stay out there. Cunnin on the back end along with McAvoy. Here's McAvoy with it. Shovels that ahead to Keller. Keller winds in, shoots. That goes just wide. Cunnin back on it. Plays it around for Greenway. Tips it there for Keller. He lost the handle. The puck comes back out to center ice as McAvoy is being watched there by Kvartalov. And Kvartalov all over McAvoy there. McAvoy moves away, drops it back for Greenway. Up ahead for White, busting in. Colin White works in. Swings it back to McAvoy. Cross he goes to Keller. 45 seconds to go on the U.S. power play. Keller in, centers it. White got a stick on it. Now a bouncing puck knocked away by Samsonov. And Greenway back with it for Keller. Keller works back in. White standing in the high slot. Keller centers it. White got a stick on that. Samsonov comes across to get a pad on it. 30 seconds to go on the power play. McAvoy shovels it across to White. White down to Cunnin. This line stayed out there for the full 2 minutes of the power play. Keller works his way in, being watched there by Belyayev. Keller to Greenway, works it back in front. White couldn't connect. Now White back with it. Final seconds of this power play. Cunnin down to White. A jam play. Sound of the goal goes off the net. Sergachev around the boards and down the ice. And Yurtaikin steps back on. 3 shots on goal for the U.S. on that power play. It remains 2-1 Russia.
Gord, you mentioned they were on the ice for 2 minutes. That means McAvoy's off the ice, and they come back, the Russians do, with Kaprizov's line.
And the puck skips down to Samsonov. He knocks that away as keeper Bellows picks it up in the corner.
see if there's any advantage to be had here. The Kaprizov out against Jones and Fitzgerald.
And Keller's still out there as Polunin brings it in, plays it across, knocked down by Jones. And Caleb Jones, a long lead pass for Thompson, that misses, and that'll be an icing call against the U.S. And did Keller get off in time? No, he didn't. They're bringing him back. He's got to come back on. That's a long shift for Clayton Keller.
Over 2 minutes for Keller. Here's a couple of real good chances. Look at the acrobatics of Samsonov to keep that puck out of the net on the initial try. And then when this puck is being fed across to Cunnin, it's tipped in the middle by White, and a real sharp save by Samsonov. There's the acrobatic punch out of the way, and now the Russians have their top line on the ice. Well, they've actually changed that line, which is quite surprising to me with this draw in the zone.
Faceoff was won by Thompson. Kadako fires it wide. But again, Clayton Keller is still out there. This is a shift going on 3 minutes, Rick. Fellows pokes it ahead. And Keller tried to poke that ahead and finally gets off.
Here's Guryanov out again with that fourth line. This has been effective for them. The injury to Rubtsov has opened up some more ice time, and Guryanov has been very good, very noticeable.
Sidorov picks it up for Guryanov, and now Sidorov shovels that across. In comes Polunin, top line coming back out for the Russians, so he's double shifting them. Roslovic turns it over to Vorobiev. Vorobiev works around the goal. Vorobiev has a look. The assist king now peels back in the corner, drops it off as Rykov comes ahead. Rykov sends it to Kaprizov with a quick chance. Loose puck in front, Polunin bats at it. And Parsons comes across, takes that away. His mask becomes dislodged, and the American netminder is down. 2 point-blank saves by Tyler Parsons. But then his mask comes off, and Parsons is still down.
He got whacked with a stick by Polunin on the rebound. This is a brilliant stop first by Parsons. Here is the rebound. Oh, it's actually Caleb Jones' stick that hits Parsons right in the mask. And oh no, no, he didn't get clipped. I thought he was going to get clipped with the skate as well, but it's Jones's stick that made the initial contact.
And the American netminder from Chesterfield, Michigan remains down on the ice. 11:31 to go here in the second period. Back to Montreal and the semifinals of the World Junior Hockey Championship. After this, the Russians lead it 2-1.
Tyler Parsons still on the ice talking with the American trainer, Stan Wong. It's going to be pretty clear when we get a look at this replay where the problem for Tyler Parsons is he's back to his feet. He clearly wants to stay in the game. They're going to have to make a decision here. Watch the initial stop by Kaprizov, off of Kaprizov. Brilliant stop. But when Polunin goes for the rebound, watch his hip. His hip runs into Parsons right after Jones's stick had hit the mask. It's the contact with Polunin where the issue is for Tyler Parsons.
Now, if this was a National Hockey League game, Ray, a concussion spotter you'd have to think at least pull Parsons from the game for evaluation. The IHF has a different setup. There are medical officials here who can call down to the bench and suggest that a player be removed from the game, but they can't unilaterally take him out. So Stan Wong, the therapist you see on the ice talking to Parsons, and there's Dr. Phil Johnson in the glasses. He's a longtime physician for Team USA at this level of the World Championship.
And you saw Joe Wall put his baseball hat back.
They got to fix Parsons' mask. And all this came with some furious Russian pressure, and they had a chance to take a 2-goal lead.
The U.S. trainer is putting the buckle back on, so it appears like Parsons will stay in.
Tyler Parsons, I mentioned, won the Memorial Cup with London last year. It's his first time for USA Hockey at any level.
The official just told the U.S. bench, you got about 10 seconds here.
Well, they needed 9, and they get the mask fixed.
There's the collision as Polunin is going to the net, and Parsons, after a terrific save on Kaprizov, who was bidding for his second of the night.
And Ray, that Polunin skate didn't miss him by much.
Oh, when the mask came out, I thought that was the next part of the picture. Very lucky.
Kvarlanov plays it across. And Gurianov, who's had a terrific afternoon so far for the Russians, pokes it ahead. Ciccone across to McAvoy. Johnny McAvoy. Pumped hard there by Gurianov. Trying to play it back ahead. Bouncing puck at the line. And now fed back down to the Russian zone as Samsonov picks it up. Karnahov through the middle for Kvarlanov. This line's been a handful and a mouthful in this tournament. Karnahov, up around, trying the backhand, goes wide. The shot taken there by Zborowski goes wide. Here's McAvoy back with it. McAvoy lost the puck there to Trennan, and McAvoy gathers it back up. Lead pass knocked away by Voronkov.
Oh, that was close. Keller got behind the defense. If McAvoy had seen him a shade earlier, they might have had a breakaway.
Now Trennan knocked down that clearing attempt. Bouncing puck in the corner. Trennan gathers it back up. Yakov Trennan, a national second-round pick, had his moments in the tournament, Ray, where he's looked pretty dominant.
Oh, I've really liked his tournament. Here's
a penalty coming, and it's again going to be to the Russians, I believe. They had possession of the puck.
It's going to be Trennan.
Trennan goes off, and so the Americans will get their second power play of this period.
Trennan, who has really been a load, big, strong, energetic, industrious forward here, gets called for the slash on Colin White. Remember the last time the U.S. had the power play, their first group was on the ice for 2 minutes. They're going to start with their second group here. Jeremy Bracco's got 2 power play goals. The Toronto Maple Leafs second rounder is on the ice, along with Tage Thompson, who can really shoot the puck. The big guy, 6'5", will set up on the top of the right circle.
Americans had 3 shots in their first power play. It's 18-13, Team USA overall. Alexiev tries to poke that free. And Yurikov, who scored a short-handed goal against the United States, pokes it ahead. Thompson goes back. He had a penalty shot in that game against the Russians. And now Bracco with it. Bracco through the middle, finds Bellows. Kiefer Bellows for Troy Terry. Terry back down to Bellows, feeds it back to Bracco. And the Americans get it set up. Here's Fox with it to Thompson. Rink wide, he goes out of the reach of Bracco and fired down the ice by Rykov.
Well, that's a short look for that group. They've already made a couple of changes.
Now Bracco swings it rink wide. Greenway off the bench. Shoot! Tip score! Cunnin tips it home. A power play goal ties the game at 2.
This is a spectacular pass by Jordan Greenway, tipped in by the captain Luke Cunnin to Minnesota Wild prospects. Watch when the puck goes back up the ice. The Americans are changing. So Bracco finds Greenway coming off the bench. Cunnin was out about 5 seconds earlier. You see the change at the U.S. bench. Cunnin's already turned, and so now he can drive the middle of the ice. Bracco snaps his pass across to Greenway, and this is a gorgeous feed for Luke Cunnin. Cunnin has 11 goals in 16 games at the University of Wisconsin. He's been a captain just about everywhere he's been. And these 2 Wild prospects can celebrate here.
Look up, look way up. What a pass by Greenway. Never mind this year, Ray. This tournament, Greenway's emerged.
He just, you hear all the time the total package. What more are you looking for? He's 6'5", he can skate, he's got good hands, he's got vision, he's got skill, and somehow he slipped into the second round.
Now Kadako in, works it and shoots, he fired that wide. David Quinn, his coach at Boston University, said he has not seen a player come farther in 1 calendar year than Jordan Greenway. Long shoot in, Parsons has that, shovels it across to Jones. So Parsons, give him credit too for the quick up as Roslovic comes across the line to begin that play on the power play. Lead pass for Kaprizov, knocked away from him as Foley has it back. Eric Foley almost gave it right back to Kaprizov. And now Roslovic has it back along with Anderson. Roslovic to Anderson, and the shoot, just missed short side. And now Foley back with it. 2-2 the score. Shots 19-14 in favor of Team USA. What an afternoon of hockey this has been so far. Bracco wraps it around. He got poke checked there by Rykov, or Sergachev rather. And now Polunin has it back for Voronkov. And Voronkov banks it ahead. Gurianov trying to knock it out. Greenway stepped into him. And Voronkov tries to bank it ahead. Now picked up by Vorobiev. Lifts it ahead. And finds your Tyken. Up for Gurianov. Gurianov a long wrist shot. Parsons steers that away. Lindgren can't get it by Gurianov. And Lindgren has it back for Team USA. Ryan Lindgren banks it down to the Russian zone. Samsonov out to play it. Taps it there for Voronkov. He centers it. And Alexiev had to knock that pass down. Now the lead pass to your Tyken. Banks it ahead for Trenton. That pass misfired. Ciccone has it back for Team USA. Fox up ahead for Thompson. The pass missed. And Kudako swings back for the Russians. Pavel Kudako. Picked ahead by Thompson. Tage Thompson works in, feeds that across. That was knocked away by Zborowski. And ahead for Trenton. And it was in the box for that tying goal by the U.S. Now knocked down by Belyaev. Belyaev winds in, shoots, ramps off the stick of Ciccone. Up and out of play. Thompson to Cunnin, the power play goal. And this semifinal game is tied at 2.
Tyler Parsons is going to snap this 100-foot pass right on the tape to Troy Terry. Bracco hits the emerging Jordan Greenway, who comes off the bench, and then Luke Cunnin had already been on the ice for about 4 or 5 seconds, so he could loop around and get to the net, and he tips in that beautiful feed.
Face-off won by the Russians. Rykov plays it across. Sadorov with a shot that goes wide. Now Belyaev centers it. Yurakov couldn't reach it as Parsons was caught out of the goal. Now Roslovic with a bouncing puck. Knocks it down. Roslovic in. Sweeps out on goal. Samsonov makes the save. What a dash by Roslovic. Jones plays it around for Rykov. This has been a breathtaking hockey game. Foley back with it. Eric Foley throws that towards the goal. Jones back with it, trying to center it. That's blocked by Sidorov. Now Rykov ahead for Yurakov, couldn't find it. The United States has never beaten the Russians in a medal round game at the World Juniors. They're 0-7. In the last 3 World Juniors, the Americans' gold medal hopes have ended at the hands of the Russians. As Terry touches up, the play's offside at the Russian line.
Gord, we've been raving about the skill in the game. Look at this, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's like he's bouncing a tennis ball on a racket. And Jack Roslovic can fly. He was jumping up the middle of the ice. The Winnipeg Jets first rounder, 25th overall in 2015. Look at that. Just bunts the thing to himself 4 or 5 times before he chases through the Russian D.
8 goals in 25 games for Manitoba as an American Hockey League rookie. And now the jawing continues between the two benches as the United States does have the last change, but Bragan stretches it to the limit. As your Tyken gets a shot away, he's taken down, and now a penalty coming to Team USA. It'll be a hooking call, and the Russians will get their first power play with 6:20 remaining here in the second.
And Charlie McAvoy would be on the ice killing the penalty, but he's going to be in the penalty box. Oh, beat off the boards was McAvoy as a quick jump from Gurianov puts the Russians on the power play, and they'll start with their second group.
Kaprizov has 5 of Russia's 7 power play goals. But Varlamov wins the draw back to Sergachev. Sergachev takes the return pass, a long wrist shot. That's blocked by White. Kudako took a bunch of whacks. Slow to get to his feet. Now play back for Sergachev. Across for Kudako to Sergachev. Winds and shoots, and Parsons makes the glove save with Karnailov standing right in front.
Closed captioning is brought to you by the Home Depot. Only Ryobi gives you over 70 tools powered by a single battery system. And you can only get it at the Home Depot.
Well, the temperature's getting a little high here. Guys are barking back and forth at each other as Tyler Parsons spreads out to catch the Sergachev slap shots. Parsons, who got a little bit of Jonathan Quick in him. I think he plays low. He's really active. He's involved in the play, is able to glove that shot from Sergachev, who went over to have a few words with Colin White, as White had put the slashes pretty good to Kudako on the earlier portion of the power play.
So now the big boys are out there for the Russians with a face-off. Was won by Roslovic, and it's sent down the ice. Rykov back for it. 9 seconds left in this power play. Roslovic forced it free. Man, can he ever skate? Rykov drops it back for Kaprizov. Winds his way in. Kirill Kaprizov works back in the corner, picks it back up, and now the Russians get it set up. Kaprizov feeds it back for Rykov. Has a look. Drops it down to Polunin. Polunin to Rykov. Long wrist shot got through. Parsons knocked that away. Kaprizov back with it. Kaprizov feeds it down. Takes the return pass, and now Kaprizov, under a minute to go on the power play, feeds it across to Polunin. Back for Rykov. Rykov, a long wrist shot, goes off a leg and wide. And now Kaprizov reaching for it, takes it away from Caleb Jones. Kaprizov. Crisscrossing with Kvartalov, feeds it back across. Polunin shoots, and he missed far side. The puck comes back down to the Russian zone. They set it just the way up they wanted to do, and Polunin missed far side. Now Polunin back with it. Alexander Polunin. Knocked off the puck of the line. Trenton floats that towards the goal. Bounced it, puck knocked down by Fitzgerald. And the Americans able to clear it out. 15 seconds to go in the Russian power play. 4.5 to go here in the second period. The game tied at 2. Rykov plays it back around. Parsons leaves it there for Lindgren. Held to the line by Sergachev. Penalties over. Sergachev feeds it down. Rykov. Backdoor pass, and Guryanov couldn't connect. 2 shots on goal for the Russians on that power play. Kvartalov. And the Russians are changing. Holds the puck in the corner and stays on it. Kvartalov tried to set it there for Guryanov. He couldn't quite reach it. Greenway took it away from him. And now Greenway has it back. Cullen jumping in as Greenway lifts that down to the Russian zone and goes off on a change. Samsonov for Sergachev. Look out, Samsonov almost had that pass hit him in the head. Keller back with it. A squeeze there by Kudako. Out the other side it goes to White. Colin White gathers it up. White works it and shoots. Scores! Colin White fires it home, and the Americans have the lead for the first time.
I've got a great view of this from where I'm standing. When White came from left to right, the defenseman was right in front of Samsonov the whole way across. There's no way Samsonov picks up this puck. Really good work behind the net as Keller keeps the play alive. And watch White as he goes across. Sergachev is right in front of him. He doesn't see it, and it goes right underneath his arm. That's the second goal of the game for White. It deflected off of Sergachev's leg, I believe, as well. Off his trailing right leg. We'll get a look at it here. Yes, yep. Right there. And now you see the change of direction, the lack of vision for Samsonov, and the U.S. has answered and now has a 3-2 lead.
6 goals in 6 games for White. He got credit for the goal at the end of the first period that bounced off his pants. That one bangs in off Sergachev, but White, the Ottawa first rounder in 2015, playing a huge role here this afternoon, and the U.S. leads it 3-2. Now Urankov with a shot, that deflected, and Parsons just about missed that. Voronkov back with it. Playing ahead to Bellows. Keeper Bellows banks it down. And Borowski goes back for it as Bellows bears in. Down for Roslovic, a jam play, side of the goal. Samsonov turns that away. Trennan for Yurikov. They wind in as Yurikov being shadowed there by McAvoy. Yurikov spins and shoots, and Parsons makes the easy save. 3 to go here in the second period. Sean plays it around for McAvoy. Bellows whacks at that. Sends it back down to the Russian zone. It skipped right on goal, and Samsonov leaves it there for Voronkov. Long pass at center ice, chipped in by Kaprizov. Vorobiev in for it. Knocked away by Lindgren. Fox, long lead pass, finds Bracco. Jeremy Bracco, Ian has a look, shoots, and Samsonov made the save short side. Now Bracco back with it. On the feed from Greenway to Cuttin. And Greenway, look at that closure to the corner. And Greenway wins the battle for the puck. Just walks out with it, and Samsonov pounces on that. Greenway just shrugged off Kudako and walked out of the corner.
When Colin White was in the national team development program, he watched all kinds of video of Patrice Bergeron. He wants to pattern his game after Bergeron. His coaches pulled the video for him. He studied it, and he plays a lot in theory like Bergeron. He's strong at both ends of the ice. He said he's got a deceptive shot, and his play off the boards when he took it from the wall, where it's not dangerous, to the front, where he became dangerous, is an excellent play. General Manager Pierre Dorion is here. I'm sure he's pretty pleased with what he's seeing from his Ottawa Senators prospect.
Oh, not to mention Thomas Chabot from Team Canada, who's been fantastic. That long shot from Foley drifts wide.
He'll have a couple of guys to watch in the game today. Jonathan Dahlin from the Swedes as well.
Kaprizov picks it up, plays it back, but knocked down by Roslovic. Back down to Foley. In the corner is Terry. Troy Terry walks out with it. Terry in, shoots. Samsonov makes the save. The rebound drops down, and Sydorov played that away. Shots are 24-18 in favor of the United States. Picked up by White. White down to Fitzgerald. And White back on it. Pivots back in the corner. Colin White, the Boston College star, feeds it back with a pass, missed Jones. All those BU guys in a BC Eagle is the story so far this afternoon for Team USA. And don't forget the Harvard man, Adam Fox. Now Keller sweeps it ahead. Anderson goes looking for it. Final minute now, the second period. Joey Anderson centers it. Keller gets a shot away. Samsonov kicks it away. Vorobiev with it now for the Russians. Plays it ahead for Voronkov. Keller stepped in him. He banks it down, and Lindgren back to pick it up. Lindgren for Fox. Up ahead for Bracco. Chips it down to the Russian zone. Samsonov out to play it. Borowski back to Voronkov. What a move there by Guryanov. In across the line, Guryanov with a chance. Now Guryanov swings it back in front. Bouncing puck. Karanilov gets a shot away. And that appeared to be blocked by Cuttin. Borowski for Guryanov. Fans on the shoot-in. Now Greenway back with it. He's taken down. And a penalty coming to Russia. It'll be Karnahuov who goes off with 14 seconds left. The tripping call will give the Americans a late power play here in the second period.
Oh, crucial moments in the game here as the Americans earn a power play late in the period. There's the trip. Kvartalov gets his stick into the feet of Jordan Greenway, and so you have 14 seconds left in the period. The Americans will look for a face-off win and a quick pass. See if they can get one last shot here.
So Karnahuov goes off. The Russians are pointing at the scoreboard, having seen the replay, saying it's a dive. And Bragan is up on the boards now.
He's got a stick on his feet. 3 power plays to 1.
US 1 for 2 on the power play. 4 total shots. Face off won by Trenton. Time winding down here in the period. Forced free by Greenway. Kadako gets it back. And the United States will have a minute and 46 seconds of power play time to carry over into the third period, ahead by a goal thanks to Colin White, who has a pair. Cuttin scored the power play. Who's going to the final tomorrow? The U.S. and Russians locked in a great battle of the semis for the second consecutive year. Our second intermission is coming up from the 2017 World Junior Hockey Championship.
With your second intermission, that had a little bit of everything, including drama with Tyler Parsons down and looking like he might be out. How important was it for him to stay in for a couple of reasons?
Well, some anxious moments there because Parsons did look as though he was injured. Obviously, when Polunin went into him, it snapped his Parsons' neck back, hit him in the head. The mask comes off. We didn't know if he's going to be able to stay in the game. And so he's been terrific for the Americans in this tournament, so some fears there. But not long after that, he's right back in the game. He makes saves and he makes passes. And he gets this team off to the races. That was a real nice tic-tac-toe play. Jeremy Bracco is always going to find the open man. He's one of the best passers in junior hockey. Gordon Greenway's been terrific, as has Luke Cunnin. That's the Minnesota Wild connection. Greenway to Cunnin to finish off that play. But it was all started by the goaltender Parsons with a really heads-up stretch pass.
Samsonov has to feel a little bit snake bit, particularly by Colin White, who gets credit credit on that first goal at the end of the first period going off his leg, and then this one off a deflection kind of fools him. So I don't know that you can blame Samsonov for that, but was it a mistake earlier that cost him?
Yeah, maybe a little bit of one behind the net. Controlled breakout, or it should have been a controlled breakout for the Russians. The puck comes to Samsonov behind the net. He's got it, but he whiffs on the pass. Now he's under a little pressure here, but a little bit of a fan there, and doesn't help his team gain control of the puck. And then you can see the defense is tired there. Russian defenseman down and out. Keller does a good job of getting it back up to White. And at that point, Mikhail Sergachev, the Windsor Spitfire, Montreal Canadian first rounder, who's not been exceptional in this tournament at all. At best, he's been average. He tried to shadow White there and ends up having that puck deflect in off him. Not much Samsonov could do about that shot, but maybe if he'd able to not whiff on that puck behind the net, get it to his defenseman, they might have been able to get that puck out and out.
And with that first American goal changed to White, that's 2 on the day for him, 6 on the tournament, and he moves into second place alone in the tournament behind only Kaprizov. Up next, we'll look forward to the one that you're looking forward to. Connor Ingram getting the start for Team Canada tonight. He'll have to stop one Alex Nylander, who's had at least 2 points in every single game in the tournament. We'll preview next. Teams, Canada has won in 7 years. Sweden's only gold in the last 10 years came back in 2012. The Swedes come in boasting an undefeated record. They've won 40 consecutive games in group play. But Canadian coach Dominic Ducharme made a point of noting a Swedish pattern he thinks Canada can take advantage of in this semi.
They showed in the last 10 years that they're really good in the first round. And but they have ways to lose when things get tougher, and we want to make it tough on them.
I don't think we're feeling any pressure at all. We're all just focusing and then have the same mentality into every single game we played. So I think we just need to bring that to the game.
They want to win. They're a country that wants to win. They're hungry for gold, and no, we're gonna have to play a real good game to beat them. But I think at the same time, there's pressure on both teams to get to the finals, and for either team, it's gonna be disappointment if they don't.
The Ducharme comments, great media story, but they're completely irrelevant. It's not like Canada's going to play better or worse, or Sweden's going to play better or worse because of what the Canadian coach says. It's Canada versus Sweden. Pre-game starts at 7 o'clock Eastern time tonight on TSN. One of Sweden's strengths so far in this tournament, they've scored in the first 5 minutes in 3 of the 5 games they have played. Fast starts always, and they've run away with most of those games. The Canadians not so much, Bob.
Most troubling thing about Team Canada's recent performances, and I think it certainly dates back the last 3 games, is how poorly they've started. And it's not even just looking at those times of first goals, but just the lethargy that they've come out with. No intensity. They're not fired up when they come out to play the first period, and a real tentative, almost timid start for Team Canada. And that was really evident on New Year's Eve against the Americans, and very evident against the Czechs when the Czechs got this lucky goal. But even so, there was no emotion. It's not until they score their first goal that Canada seems to get fired up. And against the Swedish team, if you don't score the first goal until midway through the game, it might be too late. By design, Team Canada did not skate yesterday, and they did not have a game day skate today. Dominic Ducharme kept his team off the ice intentionally because he wants them, when they hit the ice tonight, to really be fired up and go out with a real energetic start. And that's the key word that's been lacking in each of the last 3 games, the starts anyways, energy.
Again, Canada has not lost to Sweden in playoff round at the World Juniors. Of course, none of the Swedish players played on any of those teams, so it's irrelevant to them. The Americans, 2 straight goals. They're up by 1. 20 minutes left.
Back here in Montreal, here's your second period summary. Denis Gurianov gets his second of the tournament to give the Russians the lead back at 2-1, but Luke Cunningham gets the tying goal in the power play. Then Colin White with his second of the game, 6th of the tournament, gives the U.S. its first lead in the game. Time now for the Canadian Tire big play.
Late in the second period, after the Americans had tied it up 2-2 on Cunningham's power play goal, they get to the loose puck, and Colin White's going to take it from the boards off his backhand. Nice hands to corral the puck, shoot this. It bounces off Sergachev's right leg, changes direction through the screen, Samsonov, and your big play sends the U.S. in to the third period with a 3-2 lead.
The big play is presented by Jumpstart and the Hockey Canada Foundation. Let's give every kid the chance to play. Pavel Karnaухov has 1 minute and 46 seconds to serve on his tripping penalty at the end of that period. So the U.S. on the power play here, a chance to extend that lead and advance to the gold medal game for the first time since winning it in Russia in 2013. And they'll start Cunnin, Keller, Greenway up front, White, and McAvoy in the back end. Charlie McAvoy's played just shy of 18 minutes so far in the game, right?
Yeah, about pace for 25 minutes, almost 6 minutes more than anybody else on the U.S. blue line.
Brought in by White. Cunnin couldn't find him with the return pass. Rykov has it at the line, but helped by McAvoy. Now Keller reaching for it. And Clayton Keller taken down there. They played across to Cunnin. In comes McAvoy. Tap dancing to the line, and the play is offside.
Well, we've seen this so many times. A power play at the start of a period just becomes disjointed. Guys aren't into the flow of the game yet. They're not quite sharp yet. And Bob Motzko staring at the clock. See, he's got 76 seconds left, and he leaves that first group on the ice.
Greenway picks it up, tries to tap that back, but now it's a race with a loose puck. McAvoy and Trennan go back, and Trennan gets there first. Finally forced free to McAvoy, who buys some time, being shadowed there by Kvartalov. Greenway feeds it back for Keller. McAvoy up ahead to Keller. In comes Keller with it. Lines it across the line. Keller works it behind the goal now with 40 seconds to go in the power play. Does a full 360 around the offensive zone. Now Cunnin has it. Cunnin drops it down to White. Sergachev steps into him. No shots on goal for the U.S. so far in this power play. Keller works it back to McAvoy. Feeds across to Cunnin. Now Cunnin back to McAvoy with time. Wrists it down, and the pass handcuffed Keller. Now fed back to McAvoy. Across he goes. Keller winds and shoots. Samsonov saves. Greenway pays it across, and White couldn't quite reach it. Samsonov had no idea where that puck was. Now Greenway back with it for Keller. Keller shoots. Samsonov makes the save. Hangs on as Greenway taking for the loose puck. Two quick shots for the U.S. on the power play that has 1 second remaining.
Samsonov had stopped the puck, but it had leaked through his feet after White gave him a little whack here. McAvoy's got Keller. There's one shot. That's a crisp pass. Sharp pass by Greenway, and then here's Keller's shot. Watch White go to the net. Lots of times it's a whack like that. Now, even though it's not much, ooh, difficult off the deflection that earns a penalty. They don't call it, but a difficult stop for Samsonov as that puck bounced off Kudako's stick.
So now Rozovig in for the face-off against Vorobiev. We got Vorobiev and Kaprizov along with Polunin out there. As the penalty's over now. Back to 5-on-5. A 3-2 game here in the third. Rozovig tries to walk out, and Voronkov stepped into him. Back in the corner. Borowski turned it over. A bouncing puck in front. Bellows couldn't quite reach it. And now lifted up by Voronkov as Fitzgerald picks it up and fires it back in.
George, you mentioned the Russians several times just with 11 forwards today. The U.S. basically the same as they started the game with just 12 forwards. Tanner Lazinski is ill and not in the lineup, and Patrick Harper had just 1 shift in the second period.
Now Terry on it. And Troy Terry brings it ahead. Terry snaps a pass ahead. Brought in by White. His shot goes off a skate right back to him. It bounces down to the front of the goal, and Sidorov has it back for the Russians. Rykov plays it back for Sidorov. Rykov played for 3 teams last year in Russia in the playoffs. Played for St. Petersburg in the KHL. Played for their VHL or second league team, and played in the Russian junior playoffs simultaneously. Alexiev works in. He's poke check. White's got it back. Feeds it to Keller. Chance for a 2-on-1 here as Keller winds his way in. Sends it for White. His stick was lifted at the last second by Alexiev. Now Keller back on it, walks out, shoots. Samsonov makes the save with a sharp angle shot and hangs on.
Clayton Keller's in perpetual motion on the ice. He, in stature and in skill set, reminds a lot of Johnny Gaudreau. And watch how quickly he gets to the puck. But this is just a little backhand flip that is just about a foot too high as he tries to go past the Russian defense. It doesn't settle until it's a foot or two too far for Colin White.
And now on the late change, Roslovic sent off, so Cunnin will take the draw for Team USA. Trennan steps in for the Russians. Draw won by Cunnin. Now Trennan bats at it. And there's Sergachev with it. Now Sergachev turns it over. Picked up by Trennan, throws that rink wide. What's your assessment of Sergachev so far in this tournament, Ray?
I've just been lukewarm on him, Gord. I think there's more to his game. He hasn't been as poised with the puck. He's turned it over. He's, in a lot of cases, offensively, he's been a non-factor.
Pokes at that puck, and now you're back up with a shot. That goes wide. And Foley chips it off the boards and back down to the Russian end as Kadako goes back for it. The return pass from Sergachev, and now the Russians will change. 4 gone here in the third period. In the last 3 World Junior tournaments, the Americans' gold medal hopes have been ended by the Russians. Twice in the quarters, once in the semis. Kvartalnov. Tied up there by McAvoy. Played it back, and that wrist shot from the point by Sidorov is blocked. Now Sidorov races ahead to keep it alive and fires it back down to the American zone. McAvoy waiting for it. Kvartalnov kicks it ahead. Now a chance for the Russians. Kvartalnov loose along the boards, has a look. And Kvartalnov plays it back in deep for Guryanov. Guryanov tied up there by Caleb Jones. The Russians are changing. Borowski comes off the bench now for the Russians. Played around for Palunin. McAvoy knocked it down. And Palunin knocks down the clearing attempt. Palunin back on it. Kicked ahead by Cunnin. And look out. Kvartalnov almost took a stick in the head there, a skate in the head rather. Now makes his way off the ice. Vorobiev. Lead pass for Palunin. Lifts that down. Parsons waiting for it. And with Kaprizov bearing in, Parsons turn it over. Kaprizov feeds it back across. Vorobiev missed it. Now Palunin back with it. Lost the puck to Anderson. Through the middle for Keller. In comes Keller. Busting in. Keller spun around. Samsonov is down. And a penalty shot being awarded to the United States.
That's the right call.
Referee Marcus Lind of Sweden put his arms over his head right away, and Clayton Keller will be awarded a penalty shot here in a 3-2 game.
The Russians have an opportunity, and the puck goes past the front of the net. Anderson gets the puck to Keller. Keller just zips through the middle of the ice, and he gets tied up here by Zborowski. And now the nifty Clayton Keller, one of the U.S.'s most talented players. Gord, you mentioned the national team development program all-time leading scorer, is going to have a penalty shot here against Ilya Samsonov.
And what a moment this is. The second time the Americans have had a penalty shot against the Russians in the tournament. In the round robin, Tage Thompson was turned away. And here comes Keller to make it a 2-goal lead. Keller swings it on Samsonov. Works away wide. In! Oh, what a stop by Samsonov with the glove. Wow.
That is a lightning quick glove stop for Ilya Samsonov. Keller, who has a couple assists in the game, is going to come out to the left and want to take it and shoot it almost instantaneously on his backhand. He does that. Samsonov follows him across. Look how high he is out at the top of the crease. And Keller's backhand is snared, and Zborowski is among many very thrilled on the Russian bench.
But maybe no one more so than him. So it remains 3-2 as Terry comes in with Bellows. Troy Terry walks in, shoots, he fired that one as Samsonov lunged at that loose puck. Now Roslovic works back in, poke check there by Samsonov. Terry has it back. Drops it off to Bellows. Leaves it there for Roslovic. Now loose in the corner, here's Rykov with it.
Well, Lindgren got hit in the nose there on the boards.
Terry picked off that pass. And Lindgren's making his way off for Team USA. Roslovic. Crisscrossing there with Bellows, who picks it out. And Bellows moves out in the corner, played around by Sidorov. Here's Fox. It's blocked by Gurianov in a race for the loose puck. In comes Gurianov behind Fitzgerald. Gurianov scores! Denis Gurianov ties the game with a breakaway. It's 3-3.
Well, Denis Gurianov has been the best Russian forward in this game this afternoon. And this is the end of a sequence of events for Bob Moskow in the United States. Lindgren is going to get hurt here. He runs into Gurianov there. Gurianov's shoulder catches Lindgren in the face. Lindgren goes on the ice, so the U.S. has to make a change. But when they make the change, they can't get up into the play. Gurianov is able to get to the puck, and now he's got a breakaway, and he delicately slides this through Tyler Parsons' legs. He shoots the arrow, and the Russians have tied the Americans here moments after Clayton Keller was stopped on the penalty shot.
I'm going to venture to say, Ray, you've seen enough American League games that if you pulled the old arrow bit in front of the other team's bench in the American League, they would empty.
You wouldn't have your stick by the time the arrow was about to be shot.
50 seconds after Samsonov made that save on the penalty shot, Gurianov ties it up at 3. Now picked up by Keller. Shoots him a sharp angle. Samsonov steers that away. Back it goes to McAvoy. McAvoy around for Ashawn. And Jack Ashawn plays it back in the corner for Anderson. Puck loose in the corner now. McAvoy races up for it. McAvoy bumped there by Yurekov. And Sergachev has it back down for the Russian. Mikhail Sergachev. Gave by the puck now. Sweeps it down in a pile up there as Trenton was spilled. He knocked Anderson down as bowling for dollars there in front of the U.S. bench. And Ashawn brings it back the other way. Picked off by Vorobiev. And we've got 6 skaters on the ice for the Russians.
Jeremy Bracco was screaming at the 6 Russian skaters on the ice.
Gurianov scores on the breakaway, but the United States to the power play when we come back.
And turns, ups and downs for this terrific hockey game. Valeri Bragin's team has tied it up on the Gurianov breakaway. There's the 6 Russian players on the ice. You see Bracco with the far end yelling. I don't know what Bragin was mad at the linesman for blowing the whistle, I guess, but clearly 6 men on the ice.
And he gave Polunin an earful, and here's Polunin in the box for the Russians. They were called for too many men last year in the semifinal game against the United States. The U.S. had 5 chances on that power play, couldn't break through in that semifinal loss. Now, in a 3-3 game, away comes Keller across the line. Clayton Keller works in around Rykov. As much as McAvoy is a key part for the Americans, Rykov plays a huge role for the Russians. Keller drops it down to Greenway. Greenway centers it this way, cut it in, shoots. Oh, what a stop by Samsonov! And the loose puck knocked down and fed down the ice by Karnahov.
Samsonov charged out at Cunnin to take that rebound away.
And now McAvoy with it. Up ahead for Cunnin, who has the American power play goal. In comes Terry on the dash. The backhand shot goes wide up the other side. Cleared away by Kudako. Now ranging it is Trenton as Parsons play that away from him. Here's Fox with it. Adam Fox. Up ahead for Terry. He finds Bellows. Keeper Bellows works in on Sergachev. Bracco with it now. Feeds it back to Fox. 40 seconds to go on the power play. In comes Tage Thompson. A shot that goes off a leg and wide. Bracco back with it. Bracco for Fox to Thompson. Thompson, rink wide, he goes for Bracco. Back for Thompson, winds and shoots. He misfired on that. Now Terry back to Thompson. To Terry on the goal line. Back to Tage Thompson. Plays it back across to Bracco. To Thompson, winds and fires, and that time Sergachev got in the way. It deflected off him. Here's Bracco back with it. 15 seconds to go on the power play. Back it goes to Fox. Thompson winds and fires, blocked again by Sergachev, and that took a bite out of him. And now fed down the ice by Alexeyev.
That is 2 really good plays, sacrificing the body for Sergachev.
1 shot on goal for the United States in that power play. 3-3, under 11 to go in the 3rd period. Bellows winds his way in. Keeper Bellows was behind the Russian goal. Wraps it around, loose puck in front. and Bellows almost got it right back. Now Yurikov feeds ahead for Polunin out of the box. Yurikov throws it down to the American zone, and Parsons has to pounce on that, gets a snow shower there from Belyayev. We might see a penalty here against Belyayev for the snow shower. The referee comes over. That's Darcy Burchell, the Canadian referee, and he won't call a penalty, but it was close.
There's Mikhail Sergachev at the Russian bench. He had blocked one shot there off of Tage Thompson. Then Bracco gets this same pass back across to Thompson, and watch where Sergachev blocks this. Doink, right underneath the 26 on his helmet. Oh, man.
Let's hope Canada-Sweden's as good as this. Vorobiev wins the draw back. Dronov shot that goes off a skate. And now Polunin can't hold it as Greenway moves ahead with Cunningham. And Jordan Greenway sends it in. Now Samsonov retreats back to the goal as Polunin has it for the Russians. Lays it around the Dronov. Up for Kaprizov. Kirill Kaprizov pokes it ahead and finds Polunin with Vorobiev. Polunin in, shoots off the leg of Fitzgerald and wide. And Bracco banks it back out to center ice. Shots are 32-21 USA in a 3-3 tie. Lead pass for Kaprizov, takes it off the sideboards and works in. Jones stepped into him. Fitzgerald dropped for Jones. Polunin got a stick on that. And now Greenway headers the pass out to center ice, but Vorobiev knocks it down, lost an edge. Sergachev to Polunin for Vorobiev. Vorobiev winds in, drops it back. Sergachev, what a move. Sergachev walks back in front. Jones takes it away. And now your Titan picks it up. Long shot, that drifts wide as the Russians are changing. Sergachev spins at the line. Feeds across, and the shot taken in by Alexiev. That was blocked by Bracco. Rykov feeds across. Guryanov fanned the one-timer. Fed back for Sergachev. Had to play it back in the corner. And Greenway trying to knock it out. Alexiev steps into him. And finally, Fitzgerald leads the rush for Team USA.
Wow, as Sergachev kicked it into another gear here in the last couple of shifts.
And still out there, Sergachev looks ahead for Alexiev, who chips it down. It goes over the glass and out with 9:12 to go here in the third.
Going back to the bench, he's doubled over, exhausted. He showed his...
They won't open the door for him.
No, nobody opens the door. I'm telling you, Gord, I think they're cemented shut. They showed his grit with those blocks, his ability at the far blue line to make a pressure play with the puck. Very impressive stuff.
Sidorov off the center ice face-off for Rykov, and now Belyayev chips it in. That's way up over the glass and out.
And we're now in the last 10 minutes here, and it seems like every play is going to become more and more of an event for each team. There is more stress on your decisions. There is less time to make it, and the players that are able to slow the game down in their head are going to be the ones that are the most effective.
Just two returning players for Team USA. Colin White's one of them. The puck knocked by him. Trenton has it. In comes Trenton, shoots. Parson makes a save. McAvoy is the other. The Americans cut two returning players in their training camp. Alex DeBrincat and Chad Chris. That shot punched away by Parsons. Off the boards from Rykov. Trenton back for Rykov. Lindgren steps into him. Now Yurikov with it. Drops it off. Rykov plays it back. Trenton a shot. Pinballs off a leg and wide. Colin White lifts that up off the glass. Rykov holds it down for a moment. And now White has it back. And Yurikov comes back on him. Yurikov forced the three. In comes Trenton. Trying to feed it across. That's knocked away by Anderson. And Keller's back the other way. Every single inch of the ice being contested now. Roslovic works in. Around Dronov. Roslovic backhand shot stopped by Samsonov. And Voronkov back with it. Now Voronkov settles things down for the Russians. Dronov up ahead to Kvartalov. Works his way in a long wrist shot. That's blocked. The rebound goes to Guryanov. Drop back. Karnaua, a long wrist shot, and that's stopped by Parsons, and he'll hang on. 7:50 to go here in the third period. The U.S. and the Russians in a 3-3 battle. Here's today's game story brought to you by Molson Canadian. Ilya Samsonov had his shutout streak ended at 167 minutes. Kaprizov and White lead the tournament in goal scoring. They both scored here. And the U.S. has never beaten the Russians in the medal round of the World Junior. 0-7 since the medal round began. in the 1996 tournament in Boston. Ciccone with it. Rink wide he goes for Caleb Jones, and Jones fires that down to the Russian zone. Looped around for Terry. And Troy Terry. Plays it down to Roslovic. Walks out. Jack Roslovic spins and shoots. It goes off the side of the goal. Scooped up by Terry. He walks right out. Troy Terry fires, and he hammered it wide. Now Ciccone back with it. Down to Roslovic. Great pressure from this U.S. line. Roslovic spinning back, crisscrossing with Bellows. And finally, Sergachev picks it back up. Sergachev lifts it high in the air, trying to find Guryanov. It skips down, and Parsons has to knock that away. Almost another break there for Guryanov.
He's been terrific this afternoon.
Vorobiev swings back. Out there again with Kaprizov and Polunin. And now Rykov with it. Rykov finds Vorobiev. Vorobiev threads that pass in front, knocked away from Kaprizov. Greenway has it back, quickly counterattacks and beats ahead for Bracco. Jeremy Bracco with Greenway driving the middle. Picks up the loose puck, and Greenway tangles in the corner with Sidorov. Now Cunnin comes in to help out. Cunnin plays it back in the corner for Greenway. Works off Sidorov. Greenway just shrugs him off again. And Greenway shields the puck. Jordan Greenway, what a move in the corner.
Sidorov is 214 pounds.
And he's outweighed by 15 down there. Greenway spins and shoots. He fired it wide.
What a battle those two just had.
And now Jones picks up the loose puck. Head down, Samsonov gloves it down and leaves it there for Voronkov. Under 6 to go in the third period. If there's overtime, it's 10 minutes, 4-on-4. And then if necessary, a 5-round shootout. Fitzgerald across for Lindgren. Back to Casey Fitzgerald. White tried to chip it ahead. Voronkov got in the way. 33-24, the shots on goal in favor of the United States. Keller, full head of steam, winds in. Keller still on it. Works around the back of the Russian goal. Keller, look at him go. Clayton Keller spins back, shoots. Samsonov makes the save, and there is no rebound.
Closed captioning is brought to you by the Home Depot. Only the Ryobi garage door opener is faster and ultra quiet, and you can only get it at the Home Depot.
5:18 to go. Ilya Samsonov, who was brilliant against the Americans last year in the semifinals, holds his ground here. Think about that penalty shot stop on Keller early in the period. Less than a minute later, the Russians scored the tying goal from Guryanov on the breakaway. Off the draw. Picked up by Roslovic. Peels back in the corner. Trennan gets a stick on him. Roslovic falls. And Trennan has the loose puck. Feeds ahead to Yurikov. Rink wide for Belyayev. He drops it back. Yurikov with it. Yurikov winds in, shoots, and just missed the stick of Trennan standing alone to the side of the goal. Now it's Sean with it. Jack is Sean. Drops it back for Ciccone. Terry. Lost the puck, is played back in deep, and now Ciccone has it back. Fires it right down on Samsonov. Samsonov way out to play it. Gave it away to Bellows. Here's for Bellows tied up. And now Yurikov picks up the loose puck. Yurikov moves ahead. Shovels that down to the American zone, and the Russians will change. Caleb Jones swings back for it. Jones, a Portland Winterhawk like his brother Seth before him. Up ahead for Cunnin, chip down. And Rykov goes back for the Russians. Rykov plays it around for Kvartalov. Pass ahead for Guryanov, being watched there by Jones. Guryanov steaming in, shoveled it in front, sent flying into the goal by Jones. And they're going to say Jones pushed him in. I don't believe they're calling a penalty here. But they're not calling goalie interference because Jones took Guryanov in.
What a drive on the right wing by Guryanov. We've talked about him more than a few times. He challenges Jones to the net, and there's the shove from Jones. So no penalty called. It's not interference, and it's not goalie interference. And quite frankly, I like the call. So before there's any other problem, they blow the play dead, and there'll be a face-off to the right of Tyler Parsons.
There you look at the Russian bench again. The coaches aren't behind it, they're on it. as opposed to the late Viktor Tikhonov, who stood in front of it.
Oh, that would have drove me crazy. Would have drove most guys crazy, I think.
McAvoy plays it down in the Russian zone as Dronov goes back for it. Dronov leaves it there for Voronkov. Back to Dronov. Vorobiev winds it now for the Russians. 1-on-4. The puck dribbles down, and Parsons will hang on to that.
He wanted to dish it off as he gets tied up behind the net. Vorobiev now starting to push his way out of the pile, but he wanted to move it at the blue line, but the U.S. took all their options away. Really well played on the entry by Vorobiev, who, as you mentioned earlier, Gordy's been an assist machine in this tournament. 9 assists for the Philadelphia Flyers' 4th-round pick in 2015.
Face off in the American zone. It'll be Alexiev against Roslovic. And Roslovic gets low, wins that draw. Fitzgerald back at the point, kept alive by Kudako. Feeds down to Yurtaikin. And Yurtaikin kept into Lindgren. He played it around. Bellows chips at it. Here's Fitzgerald being watched by Yurtaikin. The puck still loose behind the American goal. Lindgren. Hard bounce ahead for Terry. 3.5 to go here in a tied 3rd period. Away comes Fitzgerald. Sergachev had him lined up, and Fitzgerald did the emergency break there to avoid that collision.
See, this is what I thought I was going to see from Sergachev throughout the tournament. These last 10 minutes, he has been brilliant.
Ciccone, long pass for Bellows, who chips it down. The Americans are changing as Sidorov goes back for it. Plays it around for Rykov. Rink wide, he goes for Yurikov. Chips that down in the American zone, and Jones is back to pick it up. Trennan giving Jones all he can handle, forced the puck free for a moment, now has it. Terry takes it back, and it's chipped back to White. Colin White lifts that puck ahead for Keller. Trying in behind Sidorov, knocks him down, and play continues. Belyayev with it. Loose in the corners, Belyayev. Winds his way out, sidestep that check from Anderson. In comes Belyayev, in Ciccone. Belyayev works it around, and the save made by Parsons. What a dash that was by Belyayev. Now Guryanov spins and shoots, tipped right on, and the save made by Parsons on the deflection by Yurikov. Tyler Parsons' chance to make a big save. Now a steal by White, works in. Colin White peels back in front of Voronkov. White holds, drops it back for McAvoy. McAvoy steaming in, shoots, Samsonov makes the save, and hangs on.
Well, it has just not stopped. 58 terrific minutes of hockey. Charlie McAvoy drives on the outside. Samsonov makes yet another very difficult save, and here's that rush by Belyayev. He gets outside around Ciccone and slides this to the front. In the middle of the ice was Rykov, all alone, but that play was turned aside by Caleb Jones. This is now almost getting to overtime now, Gord. Not just in time, but it seems like you're in the next goal wins deal.
Top line is up for the Russians. In comes Blumen, winds and fires, and Parsons makes the glove save and hangs on.
You know, Parsons has been excellent as well. He made that nice stop just moments ago, and the Calgary Flames draft pick was very good late against the Swiss as they held on. There's no time for anybody to take a break now. Focus is of utmost importance to almost everyone that is sitting on either bench. Your shift might be the deciding one.
Yeah, positively or negatively.
Yes.
Green-white chips out ahead. Back to pick it up is Voronkov. Sergachev makes his way off. Dronov comes on for the Russians. 1:45 to go and counting here in the 3rd period. Kaprizov, the Russian captain, works it across the line. The tournament goal scoring lead. Kaprizov loose in the corner with it now. Kaprizov taken down by Jones. Gets back to his feet. Kaprizov, they tangle again. Plays it around for Kvartalov. And Kvartalov on it. Kvartalov works there with Polunin, and it's picked up by Cunnin. In comes Cunnin, who chips it down to the Russian zone. Samsonov way out to play it. Cunnin was bearing in on him, but he played it around smartly to Dronov. Dronov through the middle, that pass missed Kaprizov, and now Bellows drops it back for Lindgren. Final minute of regulation. Fitzgerald picks it up, plays it across to Lindgren. And Lindgren works his way in, rings it around. Rykov chipping at it. Puck bounces there for Terry. Played ahead for Karnahuov. Throws it rink wide. That was knocked down by Bellows. And Bellows chips it ahead for Roslovic. Roslovic winds in across the line. Jack Roslovic gets away from Dronov. Dronov stays with him. And now Rykov has it back. Rykov with Gurianov way ahead behind the American defense runner. The pass doesn't reach him. Jones has it back. Caleb Jones across to Fitzgerald. U.S. makes a late change here as White hops over the boards. Fitzgerald for Anderson. Rink wide to Jones. Chips it ahead. Racing back is Sidorov. Banks it off the glass and up to Trenton. Final seconds now of the period. The puck loose at center ice. Your Tyken works in. Takes a long shot. Parsons gloves it and hangs on with 0.8 seconds left. And we're going to have overtime here in Montreal. Wow. Russians led twice. The Americans took the lead going into the third. Russians tied it up. There was a penalty shot. We've had a little bit of everything here this afternoon. And now it looks like we're going to have a little bit more.
There'll be a lot of fidgeting around for a puck that's not going to have a chance to go into the net. So the quicker they get this down, they can do a quick scrape of the ice. And then 4-on-4.
For 10 minutes. And Vorobyev's shot goes off a foot. And 3-3 is your score. What an afternoon here in Montreal. This semifinal between the United States and the Russians tied at 3. Well, in the first period, Kirill Kaprizov opened things up for the Russians, putting the Americans down in the game for the first time in this tournament. But then late in the period, Colin White got credit for this goal that went off his pants and by Samsonov 1-1 after 1. In the second, Gurianov gets his first of 2 on the game as he cashes on the rebound to make it 2-1. But then on the power play, long pass by Parsons ahead for Terry, and then Jordan Greenway with a beautiful pass, cut and dives, deflected home for the power play goal. That's a 2-2 game. The U.S. takes the lead later as Colin White makes a great move. Gets his second of the game, and on to the third period we go. And after Samsonov made a save on a penalty shot, it's Gurianov on the breakaway. Tie game 3-3. Which flag will it be for this semifinal game to go to the gold medal game tomorrow? Ray, this has been a breathtaking afternoon.
Been just a fantastic hockey game from the very first shift. There hasn't even been any lull to it. And now in the 4-on-4, we know that teams that win often have a defenseman involved in the play. I would say the most dangerous player on either side is Kirill Kaprizov, who is going to jump on the ice for the Russians, and Clayton Keller for the United States. The open ice and Keller are best friends.
Ray, these two teams played the 60 minutes of regulation time in 2 hours and 6 minutes.
It just didn't end. It just didn't end. So interesting here. So the U.S. with the last change has Anderson, who is a really solid work-oriented player, and Luke Cunnin out against Vorobiev and Kaprizov, two of the most dangerous Russian forwards.
Neither team has been to overtime yet in this tournament. Russians needed OT last year to beat the Danes in their quarterfinal matchup. And here we go, 4-on-4 overtime. Rykov works his way ahead. Now Rykov stuffed at the line as he was slammed down by McAvoy. Kaprizov couldn't reach it. A chance now for the U.S. Cunnin dives, sends it ahead for Jones. Caleb Jones in, shoots, and Samsonov sweeps that away. And now Sidorov back with it as the Americans make a change. And Kaprizov will go off for the Russians. Banked around for Rykov. Rink wide he goes for Sidorov. Sidorov snaps the pass in. Vorobiev busting in. Vorobiev a backhand shot, and McAvoy got a stick on that. Here's Vorobiev back with it. Fresh legs on the ice now for the Russians. Vorobiev bowls his way in front. Parsons is down. Keller knocks the loose puck away. And Now Keller leaves it back for White. Colin White, a returnee from last year, a collision at the blue line. And now Keller's back in the play. White picks it up. White plays it around for Keller. Kvartalov has it. Looks in for Guryanov on the breakaway pass, but it's broken up and brought back the other way by Lindgren. Ryan Lindgren passes ahead for Keller. In comes Keller, shoots from a sharp angle. Samsonov makes the save. White gathers up the rebound. Back at the point for Lindgren. Winds and shoots off a skate wide. Guryanov racing to it. And Kvartalov leaving the zone, but the pass is knocked down by Fitzgerald. Kvartalov back with it. The Russians looking for that breakaway pass every time. Now Keller across for Roslovic. Roslovic centers it. Keller couldn't quite reach it. Samsonov came diving across. Now Keller's got it. Clayton Keller winds across the top. Spins it back in the corner. Roslovic tied up there by Kadako. And Kadako taken down by Roslovic. Roslovic moves to the side of the goal. Shoots off the side of the goal post. Sergachev plays it back in the corner. Kadako high in the air, banks that down to the American zone. And icing waved off as Ciccone goes back for it. The Russians get fresh legs on the ice. Cunnin snaps it ahead for Terry. That pass just misfired. Now Troy Terry back on it. Picked up by Voronkov. Looks ahead for Trennan. Tries to pass that ahead for Yurikov. It's broken up and brought back by Cunnin with Terry. Now Cunnin for Terry. Terry walks in. Trennan knocked that away. Works it with Yurikov. Yurikov in on Jones. In comes Yurikov with it now. Yurikov pulls it back in front. Keller dives back. Parsons makes the stop. A traffic jam in the American crease, and the puck stays out.
And Parsons hangs real tough here as this puck's turned over at the blue line. And the Russians, as you mentioned, Gord, have been trying this long pass. This isn't that long breakaway pass. It's a chip out to Yurikov. And Jones again to the outside, shoves the Russian forward back towards the goal. The net comes off. Parsons makes the save. There's no penalty. And that face-off will be this time to the left of Tyler Parsons.
Now you got Alexiev with the draw against White. Palunen's the other forward for the Russians. Anderson again for Team USA, and White wins that draw cleanly back to Lindgren. Fitzgerald for Anderson. 2.5 gone here in the 10-minute overtime period. White to Fitzgerald. Casey Fitzgerald banks it back for White. Alexiev taps it across for Palunin. Palunin works in, has room, shoots, and Parsons makes the save on Alexander Palunin.
Wow, does Palunin freeze and collapse Lindgren here. The puck's turned over by Colin White in the middle of the ice, and Palunin is going to get the puck. He freezes him, folds him, and then Parsons aggressively out on top of the blue. Not in it, on top of it, to turn aside Palunin's shot.
And the face-off, once again, will be in the American zone. It'll be Vorobiev against Roslovic. And look how low Roslovic gets. Draw one. Sidorov at the point, holds it. In comes Rykov with it. Rykov doubles it towards the goal. Kaprizov shoots, pass saved by Parsons. Kaprizov didn't get all of it. Now brought ahead slowly by Roslovic. Swings it rink wide for Cunnin with a head of steam. In comes Cunnin with it now. In on Rykov. Cunnin drops it back for Jones. Jones spins it back. Now McAvoy trying to center it. That's knocked down. Kaprizov picks it up. Looks ahead for Vorobiev. In on McAvoy. Vorobiev walks in, shoots. Parsons makes the save and is able to hang on.
Again, aggressively out of the net by Parsons. Kaprizov earlier had shoved Jones past the puck. That puck cued softly towards the net. Here's this move by Vorobiev. Look where Parsons is again. He's a foot in front of the blue paint.
Off the draw, here's Guryanov. Snaps it back. Sergachev winds his way in. Mikhail Sergachev trying to walk back in. White picks it off, and the Americans are back with numbers. White along with Keller. Colin White gets in, shoots. Samsonov makes the save. White has it back. Samsonov was spilled there. Tangled with a teammate, now plays it back in the corner. Keller around to Fitzgerald. Casey Fitzgerald down to Keller, loose behind the goal. Works it back in front. The pass missed White. And a chance now for Guryanov, but he can't clear it out. Knocked down by Belyayev. He works in, gets in behind White. Belyayev with the Russians changing, shoots from a sharp angle. And Parsons makes the glove save and hangs on.
With Sergachev trapped up the ice, this is Guryanov, the forward back, and White recognizes and drives around him. His shot goes out on the right side, but Samsonov's not sure where he is. He spins left. The puck has gone to the right to safety, and we're 4 minutes into overtime, and it's not been any different than the previous 60.
Trennan against Terry for the face-off. Trennan's been the Russians' best face-off man of the tournament. A battle draw, Terry wins it. Played by McAvoy for Terry. And now McAvoy jumps into the rush. In comes Charlie McAvoy. Sweeps in, gets around Dronov. And McAvoy still on it. Drops it down to Terry. Terry being watched there by Trennan. And Troy Terry peels it back for Anderson. His pass back for McAvoy misfired and goes back down to the American zone. McAvoy. Dean center ice, plays it ahead for Anderson. Anderson has some room, walks in and fires at the goalpost. Bring it right off the pipe. Not close to ending it. Terry peels back. Walks in, sends it back in front. Caleb Jones, oh, what a save by Samsonov. The puck is under him. Samsonov saves the game for the Russians.
Oh my, an unbelievably lucky break for Samsonov on the long Josh Anderson shot. Or Joey Anderson shoots this thing, it hits the crossbar. Now Samsonov's got to get himself reconnected, and as he's facing the back of the net, Joey Anderson's shot is going to hit him in the back.
A great first stop, then fortunate on the second. The puck stays out 3 times, and now back at the point. Fitzgerald winds and fires. He pounded that just wide. Bracco's stick broke. Polunin plays it around for Rykov. Bracco quickly gets another. As Rykov works his way ahead. The defenseman leads the rush. Rykov works his way in. Shoots that well wide. Bracco waiting for it now, being shadowed there by Polunin. Drops it back for Fitzgerald. Long lead pass, finds Cunnin. Cunnin in on Sidorov. Steps around that discarded stick. Sidorov's got a stick on him, and Rykov is back with it. 4.5 to go in overtime. Kaprizov works his way in. Fitzgerald trying to line him up and slams him into the sideboards. Lead pass for Roslovic. He's bumped there by Kodako. Vorobiev plays a rink wide for Sergachev. Mikhail Sergachev works it on Ciconia. Backhand shot. Parsons makes the save. Kaprizov trying to work it free, but play is called.
Oh, this rattles around in the 5-hole of Parsons, who's been excellent in overtime. And we've talked in the last 10 or 15 minutes about the elevation of Sergachev's play. He has been all over the place as Parsons is able to freeze the puck, but Joey Anderson, 2 unbelievable chances for the Americans at the other end. One off the bar on a rather lengthy wrister, and then that rebound shot that hit the back of Samsonov.
So now you got Kvartalov against Roslovic for the face-off. Draw scrambled, picked up by the Russians. Sergachev, long wrist shot, floats down on the tip. Parsons makes the save on that.
He looks locked in here in overtime. Everything that hits him sticks to him. This is a long shot. Not a lot on it by Sergachev, but it's through a screen and tipped, and he's able to glove it.
Lead pass now finds Greenway. Jordan Greenway along with McAvoy. Greenway busting in, but he plays a half step offside. Coming up on 5:30 Eastern time here, and this is just the appetizer. Still to come tonight, the second semifinal. Canada takes on Sweden. Coverage starts at 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific, here in Montreal. They got a hard act to follow. Ciccone across to Fitzgerald. And now Casey Fitzgerald comes in. And Voronkov took it away from him. Up ahead for Belyayev. Belyayev tried to bank it in the equipment of Ciccone. At the line, held and fired just wide by Dronov. He stepped into that. And now Belyayev from his knees plays it around. Colin White gathers it back up for Team USA. 3.5 to go here in overtime. Brought ahead by Keller for White. And now Keller steps around Trennan. Poked back and scooped up by Trennan. And he'll feed it back for Rykov. Rykov up ahead to Yurikov. Yurikov loses center ice. He's got Rykov and Trennan with him. Goes behind the back, does Yurikov. Keller picks it off. And the U.S. is back the other way. Picked up by Keller. Works in. Bouncing puck in the feet of the defenseman. He couldn't find it. Sidorov, and now Terry has it back. Troy Terry works across the top of the face-off circle. Trying to feed that back. It bounces to McAvoy. Under 3 to go here in the overtime. McAvoy walks up the goal line. Wraps around the backhand shot. Loose in front for a moment. Yurikov plays it back at the line, and Anderson can't hold it. Now Jones back for it. McAvoy remains out there. Here's Joey Anderson. Drops it back to McAvoy. McAvoy walks it across the line. A long shot. Samsonov fought it off awkwardly. Loose puck in front. McAvoy couldn't find it. Now it bounces back to Terry. Steps away from Vorobiev. Drops it off to McAvoy. Shoots. That's blocked by Yurikov. And knocked down by Kaprizov. Feeds ahead to Vorobiev. And Vorobiev winds it back for Kaprizov. In comes Kaprizov. Walks in. Feeds across Vorobiev. Spins it back at the point. Kadako finds Sergachev. In. Shoots. That was blocked by Jones. It goes wide. Vorobiev slammed there by Anderson. Now picked up by Kaprizov. And at the line, Kadako can't hold it. And it's an icing call against the United States with 1:52 to go in OT.
Joey Anderson has been the most prominent player here in overtime for the United States as he lays out Vorobiev in the corner. Solid hit. Anderson's hit a crossbar. He hit the back of Samsonov. And this overtime seems like it's going to end on every shift. And there's now under 2 minutes left.
Keep her going here, eh?
So a timeout called by the United States with tired players on the ice. And Valeri Bragan very calmly standing on the bench directing the traffic. Clayton Keller's been a big part of the afternoon.
Nothing said on the U.S. bench here. It's basically a rest timeout.
So the face-off in the U.S. zone. Alexiev comes out to take it. Polunin will be the forward with him. It'll be Terry to take the draw for Team USA. Terry against Alexiev. Alexiev wins it. Back to Polunin. Shoots. He misfired on it. And now Anderson picks it back up, plays it around for Jones. 1:45 to go in OT. Caleb Jones plays it back for McAvoy. And McAvoy being flushed there by Alexiev, plays it back out to center ice, where it's knocked down by Voronkov. Voronkov a long shot. Parsons knocks that away. Cutting back to pick it up. Here's Jones with it. Plays across to McAvoy. Through the middle for Bracco. He missed on it. And that'll be an icing call. Bracco saying he's touched it. But the United States once again won't be able to change. That means Jones will have to stay on. He's been out there a while.
This pass by McAvoy turns into about a 4-bouncer. I'm not real sure what's going on here. How he passed it like that. Nobody touches the puck. And that's directly across from me. McAvoy, though, tried to just shovel it up, and it bounced 3 or 4 times. Goes for the icing.
So Kvartalov for the face-off. Rykov at the top of the circle. It'll be Cunnin for Team USA. Cunnin wins the draw back to Jones. 80 seconds to go in overtime. Cunnin drops it back to Bracco for Jones. Feeds it back to Bracco. In comes Bracco. The Kitchener Rangers star winds his way in. Bracco with a head of steam. Works it back in the corner. Bracco spins it back for Ciccone. Ciccone with it. Banks it behind the goal for Cunnin. Trying to chip it there for Bracco. Tied up by Guryanov. One hands that for Sidorov across to Rykov. Rykov throws that puck and he misses Guryanov with it. And they'll call it icing. Guryanov thought he got in behind. But the icing call goes against the Russians. The face-off back to their end with 41 seconds to go in OT.
And so the Russians can't change, but Brogdon, as you see, will use his timeout. Kvartalov is on the ice for the Russians. He is a really trusted forward for Brogdon, number 9. So he and Guryanov, as they catch their breath, will be the 2 Russian forwards, and I would assume Keller would be on the ice at some point here for the Americans. You know, we haven't seen much at all is Jordan Greenway in overtime, just 1 short shift.
Yeah. How about Ilya Samsonov, Ray? The penalty shot saved early in the 3rd period. A couple of saves here in overtime. He's been tremendous. "50 seconds after he stopped that penalty shot, the Russians scored the tying goal. He stopped the last 22 he's faced in this game. So you got White for the face-off for Team USA. Keller's the other forward. It'll be Kvartalov for the draw for the Russians. McAvoy and Jones back on defense, but Kvartalov wins the draw. Sidorov rings it around. Guryanov trying to get behind Jones, and does. Icing waved off. Guryanov gets there first. Jones steps into him. 30 seconds to go in overtime. Guryanov and Jones got tangled up behind the net. It's basically 3-on-3 now as McAvoy works in. McAvoy winds in, couldn't get the shot away. Now he tangles and falls with Sergachev. Fired back down to the American zone. Jones goes back, another icing call, this time with 18 seconds left in OT.
About 5 times the Russians have tried that 80 to 90 foot pass up through the middle of the ice. This one is airmailed. And this face-off will come with just 18 seconds left. Roslovic and Vorobiev.
Roslovic gets really low for the draw. Looks like Bob Basson used to be, remember him?
Oh yeah, he was not very much fun to play against.
Like nose to the ice. Draw kicked up by Terry. Terry has Sergachev step into him hard. 10 seconds to go in OT. Kaprizov has it. Couldn't get the rush away, now plays it back for Sergachev. And Sergachev steps back, lifts it down to center ice, and this game will go to a shootout to decide who goes to the gold medal game tomorrow night. The Russians outshot the United States 8-7 in OT. But to a 5-round penalty shot we go, and don't forget, after 5 you can use any player you want.
Ilya Samsonov has faced 2 penalty shots in this tournament, both against the Americans in the preliminary round against Tage Thompson. Thompson ends up trying to deke Samsonov with a tight little poke check, and then today he flashes the glove at 3-2. Under 2 minutes later, after the Keller penalty shot save, Guryanov tied the score, and here we sit.
Tyler Parsons, as we mentioned, plays for London in the OHL. He's 0 for 5 in his career in shootouts for the Knights. So a quick scrape here, and what a moment we're going to have in Montreal. The United States has never beaten the Russians in a medal round game at the World Junior Championship. They're 0 for 7. The last 3 times the Americans' gold medal hopes have ended at the World Junior has been to the Russians. Quarterfinals in 14 and 15, and the semis last year.
What's interesting here is, in your league, you know, you build a book on the goalie, or you build a book if you're the goalie on some of the shooters. They're all so unfamiliar with each other because they just don't play each other very much, even though there is familiarity that players of previous eras didn't have with all the under 17 and under 16.
Good. Okay, you want tails? Tails.
Here's the coin toss.
Okay. Tails. That's heads. That's tails. Tails, okay? All right, back up. It's heads. Huh? It's heads. What do you want? First or second? Shoot. You want first? Or second? Yeah, you want first? No, second. Second. You sure? Final answer. 2? Okay, you're up first.
It's actually an advantage to go first. That might be a slight unforced error by the Russians. You're better off shooting first in a shootout.
Unless your goalie stops the first one. I hear you. I mean, there's all, if you can get the jump, I think it's an advantage. because then everybody feels a little bit more pressure. But man, oh man, this has been an outstanding afternoon of hockey.
Now, by the way, you do not have to submit a list of shooters. You can pick anyone you want here. For the first 5, it has to be 5 different. If it's still tied after 5 rounds, then you go back and you use anyone you want in successive rounds. That's where we saw Jonathan Toews shoot 3 times in Lexan in 2007. So Samsonov will defend.
You got White, Bracco, Keller, Greenway, Terry. So many options. The Russians have Guryanov and Kaprizov. Bartolov will shoot, I assume. Polunin. Colin White will get things going. He'll be the first shooter for the United States. 2 goals today.
And here we go. A shootout to decide who plays for gold tomorrow night. The loser will play for bronze in the afternoon. Colin White, the Ottawa Senators' first-round pick. 2 goals so far today. White in, stopped by Samsonov.
Well, Samsonov stayed with White. We saw in the penalty shot earlier how aggressive he is out on top of the blue paint. Samsonov stays, spreads, and makes the stop. And here's Guryanov, who is the best Russian forward today.
Plays for the Texas Stars, Dallas's top team in the American Hockey League. Guryanov in, has a look, scores! Russia leads it 1-0 after the first round.
This shot just overpowers the stick of Tyler Parsons. Guryanov shoots it on the move, hits the stick and goes through. And Clayton Keller is going to shoot for the United States.
Keller, in on Samsonov. Lost the puck for a moment, in, and Samsonov pokes it away. Lost his stick in the process. Did he throw his stick at it?
No, he went to poke check it and he got it tied up. The slickest puck handler on the United States is going to lose the puck. And so Samsonov goes for the poke check. Keller misses, and here's Polunin.
Returnee from last year. Polunin in! Oh, the splits by Parsons, turns it away. Still 1-0 Russia.
He gets spread out, gets a skate to the post as Polunin tries to slide it around him. And now Joey Anderson, who hit the crossbar and had another great chance in overtime.
Plays for the NCAA's #1 ranked team, Minnesota Blues. Anderson in, and Samsonov takes it away. They keep trying that one side on him. And Samsonov's driven away all 3 times. The Russians thought they'd won the game. The horn sounded, but it's a 5-round shootout.
Now they're waving Sidorov off. They're like, you're not our shooter.
Sidorov had piled over the bench, over the boards. The horn sounded. Whoops.
You get back in here. We'll go with a different player, and it's Alexeyev, who looks to give the Russians a 2-goal edge.
Alexeyev in on Parsons, and Parsons makes the glove save. It's still 1-0.
These goaltenders have been solid, brass. What a stop by Parsons up on top of the crease. Glove stop, and now it's Troy Terry.
Troy Terry, the University of Denver, in on Samsonov, scores! And now it's 1-1.
One of the Americans' most valuable players in this tournament, in my opinion. He's slick, he's versatile, and he snaps this through Samsonov's feet.
We have not seen Kaprizov yet. It's going to be Vorobiev now for the Russians.
Vorobiev doesn't have a goal in the tournament. He's got 9 assists.
To restore the Russian lead, Vorobiev works in, scores! Now 2-1 through 4 rounds.
That was a quick delivery by Vorobiev. Once he gets in here, look how quick he goes to his forehand. Boom, and it's in. And now it's up to Jeremy Bracco as the Russians celebrate.
Bracco plays for the Kitchener Rangers in the OHL to keep the U.S. alive. Bracco in, scores! And it's 2-2.
Bracco has outsized confidence in his abilities. He started the year in a 26-game point streak, and he goes through the 5-hole to send this to the 5th shooter.
Now the officials are huddling at center ice. What are they talking about?
They have the officials haven't realized that there's a 5th Russian shooter. They were saying that you have to change ends, but they got to wait for the Russians. Man, this has to be Kaprizov,
doesn't it?
He's got 8 goals.
Here he comes to win it.
The officials, I think, have lost track of the shooters. They're just confirming.
And this is Kaprizov for the win. What a moment. Here he comes. Kaprizov in on Parsons. Kaprizov, stop! And it's on to the next round we go. Now you can go back and use anyone you want, as many times as you want, until it's over.
I've been really impressed with Parsons and some of the saves he's had to make and hold on here. Parsons keeps this alive. And now the Russians will shoot first. That's what they were talking about, Gord. They flipped the order in the round. So now Guryanov will go first.
Guryanov in on Parsons, scores! He's 2 for 2.
Wow, can he shoot the puck? My goodness. And now if Troy Terry doesn't score, the Russians are in the final as Guryanov snaps this just over the pad.
Terry rather scored his first attempt in the 4th round. Now to keep the U.S. alive. Terry, Samsonov scores! Sticks it right in there, and it's on to round 7.
Oh my goodness, what patience. What courage to make this move. Terry stops up, glides forward, and opens up Samsonov to slide it into the corner.
And now Polunin will be the next Russian shooter. He was stopped in round 2. Polunin hit the goal post. And now the Americans can win it.
I would go back with Terry.
They are.
Here's Polunin's shot. Off the glove, off the bar, and Troy Terry can put this away for the Americans.
He's a TJ Oshie. Now in comes Terry to win it for Team USA. He does it! Troy Terry, the shootout winner. And the United States will play for gold at the World Junior Championship after an epic win over the Russians in the semifinal. The Americans have beaten the Russians for the first time in the medal round. They were 0-7 going in, but this shootout win in round 7, Troy Terry, 3 for 3 in the shootout, wins it.
Gord, 3 times Terry beat Samsonov through the 5-hole, 3 times a different move. This 3rd one to the backhand, he slides it through Samsonov, and after Tyler Parsons had made a stop on Polunin and hit the crossbar, Troy Terry sends the Americans into the final.
Troy Terry, the 19-year-old from Highland Ranch, Colorado, with the winner of the shootout. That will count as a goal, by the way, under the IHF scorekeeping, and why not? When you score 3 in the shootout, you should get some credit for that.
Gord, we talked about Terry a couple of times. Underrated, underappreciated perhaps by the general public, but his coaches talk about his versatility and how good he's been, and what a crushing defeat for the Russians. They were in position to win and couldn't close the deal.
And by the way, Tyler Parsons, we mentioned, was 0 for 5 in shootouts in his career in the OHL. Still is. But he gets the shootout win here. Wow. Heartbreak for the Russians. They will play for bronze tomorrow. But the United States will go to the gold medal game for the first time since winning it in Ufa, Russia in 2013. Americans trail for the first time in the tournament in this game, trailed twice in the shootout, but got a save from Parsons in the 5th round on Kaprizov to extend it, and then Terry scores on back-to-back shots. And here is this afternoon's turning point.
You don't get to Troy Terry unless Jeremy Bracco scores with the last American shot, the 5th shooter. Bracco tied this. Parsons made a save. A couple of rounds later, Troy Terry is the hero, but your turning point is Bracco's goal.
And time now for the player of the game presentation.
So, Scott Neufeld. Le joueur du match pour l'équipe de la Russie, the best player for Team Russia, le numéro 27, number 27, Denis Gurianov. Le joueur du match pour l'équipe des États-Unis, the best player for Team USA, le numéro 1, number 1, Tyler Parsons.
Parsons, terrific in the round robin. Tremendous here in the medal round into the semifinal game in the shootout. U.S. outshot the Russians 44-36 in the game. Now we'll get the Russians' top 3 players of the tournament. Now their gold medal hopes are over. These are chosen by the teams themselves. And then we'll get the United States national anthem.
Championships of Team Russia will each be awarded a Tissot watch. The 3 best players award is selected by each team. Les 3 meilleurs joueurs sont choisis par leur équipe. Les 3 meilleurs joueurs de l'équipe de la Russie, the 3 best players of Team Russia. Le numéro 7, number 7, Kirill Kaprizov.
Kaprizov leads the tournament with 8 goals. He'll play again tomorrow.
Le numéro 30, number 30, Ilya Samsonov.
Samsonov beat the Americans last year in the semis, falls of this year in a shootout. Made the penalty shot save in the 3rd period, moments before the tying goal was scored.
Le numéro 28, number 28, Yegor Rykov.
And Rykov, the 5th round pick of New Jersey in the last draft, led the Russians in ice time per game, was a stalwart on their blue line. There's the top 3 players for the Russians, who will play the loser of the Canada-Sweden semifinal for bronze tomorrow. And now the American anthem. We think.
Pour l'équipe des États-Unis, for Team USA, le numéro 12, number 12,
They're
Jordan
the Americans'
Greenway.
top 3 players of the tournament today. So Greenway for the United States had the 2 goals against Canada, scored the game winner on the power play in the 3rd in the quarterfinal against the Swiss.
Le numéro 18, number 18, Colin White.
Colin White with 6 goals in 6 games so far, scored in all 4 opening round games.
Le numéro 19, number 19, Clayton Keller.
And Clayton Keller, who's been electrifying from the opening day of this tournament. So there's your top 3 U.S. players thus far, but they've got their biggest game of the tournament to come tomorrow night against the winner of the Canada-Sweden semifinal game. And now, the Star-Spangled Banner.
Mesdames et messieurs, veuillez maintenant vous lever pour l'hymne national des États-Unis. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the anthem of the United States.
The 2017 IIHF World Junior Hockey Championship from Montreal and Toronto is brought to you by Esso. The Esso brand has fueled Canada's love of hockey for over 30 years. By RBC. When we invest in youth, great things happen. Hashtag Make 150 Count by Nike, official gear of Canada's national hockey team. And by TELUS, powering the network that keeps us all hashtag all connected.
First. Well, if we get half of that drama or entertainment, we're in for some fun tonight. Canada, Sweden. Our pregame starts at 7:30 Eastern. The drop of the puck a little after 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. I hope we don't end it in a shootout. As great theater as that is, horrible way to end a semifinal. But you'll watch Canada take on the Swedes tonight. This had a little bit of everything, back and forth, just a terrific hockey game from start to finish. And Troy Terry becomes, I guess, the next TJ Oshie for Americans, although it was very similar to Jonathan Toews exactly a decade ago. And the U.S. will play for gold. SportsCenter now.
And why not begin SportsCenter with what you were just watching? Dramatic matchup